Chapter 3246. 3246, I want to go inside. 3246, I want to go inside. There were small holes in the walls, and wall lamps hung from them. The oil in the wall lamps seemed to be whale oil. It had a unique fragrance, and the flame was stable. Fengwu looked to her side. Next to her was a plump old woman who looked fierce and unapproachable. She looked at Fengwu in surprise. "You're really a handsome and lively girl." The plump woman was quite fierce at first, but when she saw how lovely Fengwu was, she couldn't use the same tone anymore. Her tone couldn't help but soften. Fengwu asked, "What's your name?" Seeing Fengwu's sparkling eyes, the plump woman couldn't help but feel she was talking to an angel. "What an adorable girl." The woman softened her tone and said proudly, "Others call me Annie Ching. I'm in charge of logistics here. All inscription masters are under the management of my logistics team." "Nice to meet you, Auntie Ching." Fengwu's voice was sweet and soft, which was very pleasing to the ear. As expected, Auntie Ching's attitude changed. She asked Fengwu curiously, "Did you offend Elder Dongfang?" Fengwu asked, "How do you know?" Seeing that she had guessed correctly, Auntie Ching was extremely pleased with herself. She said proudly, "What's so hard to guess? Every time Elder Dongfang sends someone over, if she thinks highly of them, she'll send them to the military academy team. If she doesn't like them, she'll send them to the Imperial College team. I've always been the one to receive them. How can I not know?" Fengwu's eyes lit up. "In charge of logistics?" Then Annie Ching must have seen a lot of people. Fengwu knew she would definitely find out a lot of things from Annie Ching. However, there was no hurry. The most important thing now was to figure out the structure of the magical equipment division. Logically speaking, Elder Dongfang should have told her about the situation in the magical equipment division along the way. However, Elder Dongfang wasn't a generous person. Fengwu was lucky to get here without any injuries, let alone obtain any information from Elder Dongfang. Hence, when Fengwu asked Annie Ching, the latter's eyes widened. "Did you offend Elder Dongfang that badly?" Fengwu could tell at a glance that Annie Ching was a straightforward person and didn't like pretentious girls. She rubbed her nose and said, "Elder Dongfang has a niece. I made her vomit blood. So him." As expected, Annie Ching burst into laughter. "Dongfang Ziyun has always been so pretentious because she's a supreme level medicine refiner. I didn't expect you to make her vomit blood. Good girl. I like you." Fengwu looked at Annie Ching curiously. "Aren't you afraid of offending Elder Dongfang?" Auntie Ching said, "Offend her? She wouldn't dare offend me. If she makes me unhappy, I'll assign the person she values to the Imperial College team. She'll be furious." Fengwu knew Annie Ching must be more than just a logistics worker. She even dared to offend Elder Dongfang. She asked, "You keep talking about the military academy team and the Imperial College team. What's the difference?" Annie Ching said proudly, "There's a big difference. Let me tell you, if you want to have a bright future, it's best if you join the military academy team. After you join this team, you may be lucky enough to cozy up to Master Duanmu and enter his team. Your military rank will definitely soar." Chapter 3247. 3247 Clever Girl 1. 3247 Clever Girl 1. Fengwu's eyes lit up when she heard what Annie Ching said. "Can I get in?" "We'll have to ask." The more Annie Ching looked at Fengwu, the more she liked the girl. Hence, she led Fengwu to the military academy team. If you're going to join one of the teams, it's definitely going to be the military academy team. Annie Ching muttered to herself as she walked. You have to know the military academy is in charge of the magical equipment division. If you join the Imperial College team, you'll be bullied. Annie Ching then led Fengwu to a huge building. This was a hollowed-out cave. It was nearly 10 meters tall and occupied an area of thousands of square meters. It was separated into sealed spaces. A path in the middle divided the cave into two sections. The area on the left was very small and only took up a quarter of the cave, while the area on the right was 3 times as big. There were doors on either side, and the two sides faced each other. Annie Ching took Feng Wu to the military academy's side first. When the guard saw Annie Ching bring someone over, he asked, "Is it the inscription master recruited from the common people?" Before Annie Ching could say yes, a cold voice cut her off. "A civilian? I don't think so. Isn't that right, Feng Wu?" An old acquaintance. Turning around, Feng Wu found the man familiar. Upon closer inspection, Feng Wu realized she was looking at an elder from the military academy. She had only glanced at him from afar, but hadn't paid much attention to him. Elder Wu. Annie Ching was surprised to see that Feng Wu had been recognized. Clasping his hands behind his back, Elder Wu strolled out and stared at Feng Wu. "Aren't you from Imperial College?" Feng Wu recalled Elder Wu had only met her once, and then she didn't see him when she shared the all-purpose transformation liquid. Elder Wu probably was already away from the fortress then. In other words, Elder Wu didn't know about the group breakthrough in Imperial College, nor did he know about Feng Wu's relationship with the general. In his eyes, she was just a girl who was in a scandal with Jun Lin Yuan. That was even better. Otherwise, if he knew too much about Feng Wu, it would be difficult for her to take action. "I'm from Imperial College," Feng Wu admitted in resignation. The shortcut she wanted to take was completely blocked. Annie Ching looked at Feng Wu in resignation and told her in a low voice, "Elder Wu is in charge of the military academy team in the magical equipment division." At this moment, Elder Wu had already started to blame Annie Ching. "Why did you bring her here?" Auntie Ching glanced at Elder Wu and was about to speak. Unexpectedly, Feng Wu beat her to it. "I asked Annie Ching to show me around." "Why? Is no one allowed to hang out outside the military academy? Do you own this place?" Annie Ching looked at Feng Wu in admiration. Although Elder Wu couldn't do anything to her, this girl had volunteered to take the blame. Annie Ching felt Feng Wu had a sense of propriety and was really likable. Elder Wu darted a look at Feng Wu and warned her, "This is the magical equipment division. You better stay put, or no one will back you up. I'm sure the Crown Prince won't break the rules here because of you." "The Crown Prince?" Annie Ching's eyes lit up. Holding Feng Wu's hand, she asked curiously, "You know the Crown Prince? Are you that close to him?" Elder Wu felt a headache coming on. He glared at Annie Ching and said, "How many people do you think the Crown Prince has connections with? Do you think any Tom, Dick, or Harry could be associated with the Crown Prince?" Chapter 3248. 3248 Clever Girl 2. 3248 Clever Girl 2. Feng Wu didn't know what Annie Ching's background was, but the woman wasn't afraid of Elder Wu at all. She retorted, "Old Wu, what are you talking about? Xiao Wu is so pretty. It's only natural that the Crown Prince likes her. You don't know anything." Feng Wu gave Annie Ching a surprised look and gave her a thumbs up. Annie Ching raised her chin proudly. That old man wasn't the only one who could raise his voice. Elder Wu glared at Annie Ching and was so angry that his beard shook. However, for some reason, he didn't flare up in the end. He only glared at Feng Wu and left. Feng Wu was speechless. Why was she the one being glared at? Did Elder Wu specialize in picking on an easy target? But before Feng Wu could say anything, Elder Wu had already left. Meanwhile, Auntie Ching snorted. "Old Wu is such a troublemaker." She looked at Feng Wu apologetically. "Xiao Wu, you've been discovered by Old Wu. I really can't put you in the military academy team now." Feng Wu told her it was fine. Auntie Ching took Feng Wu's hand. "Come on, let's go to the Imperial College section. I'll take you to their supervisor and tell them to take good care of you." She explained to Feng Wu as they walked. "The person in charge is the head of the magical equipment division. He's in seclusion now, so you won't be able to see him for the time being. The second in command is the deputy minister. He's also in charge of the military academy, and he's Old Wu, the man you saw just now. The third in command, normally, he should be the person in charge of Imperial College, but for some unknown reason, that position has been given to Master Duanmu. Although Master Duanmu is the third in command, his status is extraordinary. Even the ministers don't dare to offend him. Master Duanmu can directly talk to Mr. Su and even the general. The next one in the command chain is finally from Imperial College. His name is Wang Zhiheng. He used to be Master Duanmu's junior brother, but for some reason, the two of them don't have a good relationship now. Annie Ching was telling Feng Wu all the secrets of the magical equipment division. She had a good impression of Feng Wu. If she didn't have a good impression of Feng Wu, she could just throw the latter into the team after bringing her over. No explanation was needed. As Annie Ching spoke, Feng Wu listened. Annie Ching was in high spirits, and Feng Wu listened attentively. It was a harmonious conversation. Annie Ching suddenly asked Feng Wu, "Do you know how the magical equipment division works?" Feng Wu asked, "What? How?" Auntie Ching said, "Didn't you ask around before you came in? You really don't know anything?" Feng Wu put on an innocent face. Annie Ching sighed. "You foolish girl. Why is Elder Dongfang so petty? Why is she so calculative with a child? Why is she even angry with you? She's too old to behave that way." Auntie Ching told Feng Wu, "There are dozens of teams here. The higher-ups give out missions, and the teams take them on. We have several modes here. The most common one is the inscription workshop where the master takes in junior apprentices." Annie Ching led Feng Wu into Imperial College's section. As they walked, she pointed at the separated spaces around them and said to Feng Wu, "Look, some of these rooms are big and some are small. The ones near the door are the biggest, and the further in you go, the smaller the rooms." Chapter 3249. 3249 Clever Girl 3. 3249 Clever Girl 3. Look at this workshop. It says, Yang's Workshop. In other words, this inscription master's surname is Yang. I know Master Yang. He's at level 7, and his disciples are levels 4 and 5. Master Yang has his own apprentices. He's doing well, because he's only responsible for producing blueprints. His apprentices do the carving and coloring. Look over here. Annie Ching led Feng Wu to an open area at the back. There were domed cubicles here with no ceilings, just like modern office cubicles. Annie Ching pointed at them and said, "Most of these inscription masters are at level 5. They are unwilling to be apprentices, or they can't find a teacher who's willing to teach them. They'll accept orders here in their own names. But they work very slowly. It can take them at least a month to produce a few low-level inscription weapons." Feng Wu said, "That's not so efficient." Auntie Ching said, "Their pay isn't high either. It starts at 30 per 1,000 words." Feng Wu asked, "30? What?" Auntie Ching, 30 essence crystals for 1,000 words. Feng Wu said, "The essence crystals are quite easy to earn." "No, they're not." Annie Ching was amused by Feng Wu. They're so inefficient that they're lucky if they can make enough to survive. As long as they can make breakthroughs and inscribe higher-level inscriptions, however, their income will skyrocket. Feng Wu asked, "Really?" Feng Wu saw that they looked like they were inscribing on grains of rice. Every inscription was extremely difficult, and no mistakes were allowed. This was how inscriptions worked. If there was even the slightest mistake, the inscriber would have to start over. Auntie Ching told Feng Wu, "Do you remember Master Yang just now? He could get 300 essence crystals for every 1,000 words. However, he has 2 apprentices under him, so he doesn't really have much left. Let's go. I'll introduce you to the person in charge of Imperial College, Master Wang Zhiheng. He can get 1,000 essence crystals per 1,000 words." Feng Wu asked, "Is he a level 8 inscription master?" Annie Ching said, "Yes, he's a level 8 inscription master. Master Duanmu across the hall is Master Wang's senior brother, and he can get this much." Annie Ching gestured at Feng Wu as she spoke. Feng Wu hissed, "That high?" Annie Ching said, "Of course. Master Duanmu is really capable. He's efficient and does good work. Of course, that was in the past." Feng Wu asked, "What about now?" Right now, Auntie Ching was about to say something when they arrived at Wang Zhiheng's workshop. Annie Ching stopped talking right away and told Feng Wu, "Don't mention Master Duanmu in front of him, or there'll be consequences." Feng Wu nodded. "Speaking of which, Master Wang has a buddy named Yang Jihu in the fortress. Have you met him?" Annie Ching asked. "They're very close and have become sworn brothers. If you know Yang Jihu, Master Wang will be much closer to you. Feng Wu's eyes lit up. Yang Jihu? He's my teacher. Annie Ching looked at Feng Wu in surprise. Really? Feng Wu said, it's true. I'm from the colonel's quarters. Auntie Ching sized up Feng Wu from head to toe. I didn't know you're so good at cultivation. Feng Wu chuckled. Annie Ching took Feng Wu to Wang Jiheng's workshop and introduced her to the master, telling him that Feng Wu was Yang Jihu's student. As expected, Master Wang looked at Feng Wu a lot more kindly. Chapter 3250, 3250 Clever Girl 4. 3250 Clever Girl 4. Before Annie Ching left, she had told Feng Wu that if anyone dared to bully her, she could go to the logistics department. Annie Ching wouldn't give that person anything to eat. Feng Wu thanked Annie Ching with a smile. After Annie Ching left, Feng Wu asked Master Wang curiously, "What's Annie Ching's background? I don't think Elder Wu can do anything to her." Wang Jiheng didn't know Feng Wu very well, but he couldn't resist how familiarly Feng Wu was acting. Before he knew it, he was already talking to Feng Wu as if she was an equal. Master Wang asked, "Don't you know?" Feng Wu said, "No, I don't." Master Wang said, "Didn't she take good care of you? I thought you knew each other well." Feng Wu said, "No, I just came in today. It's Annie Ching's first time seeing me. As for why she took care of me, maybe that's because I'm so adorable." Master Wang didn't know what to say. He had to admit that the girl in front of him was indeed adorable. Just looking at her made one feel good, like a room filled with sunlight. The girl might as well be called Little Sunshine. Maybe some girls are meant to be liked by everybody, thought Master Wang. Do you know that the Magical Equipment Division has a minister? Master Wang asked. Feng Wu said, I do. I heard he's in seclusion right now. Master Wang said, the minister's surname is Qing. Feng Wu chuckled. Annie Qing is actually Mrs. Qing then? Master Wang nodded. Feng Wu said, she doesn't look the part at all. The Magical Equipment Division's minister was under Mr. Su's direct command. He was on the same level as Elder Dongfang and Elder Helian. However, Annie Qing was an ordinary-looking woman. She was plump and fierce, but could she be the minister's wife? Feng Wu couldn't believe it. Master Wang told Feng Wu, it's a complicated story. You can ask Annie Qing. He didn't spread gossip. Feng Wu nodded. Even Master Wang didn't realize that after this brief interlude, he and Feng Wu became much closer. They didn't feel like strangers anymore. After all, he was the person in charge of the Imperial College team and Yang Jihu's buddy. Feng Wu had to befriend him. Master Wang asked Feng Wu, what's your level? Feng Wu said honestly, level 8. Master Wang frowned. Tell me the truth. Feng Wu was truly frustrated. She had always told the truth, but everyone thought she was bragging. Life was so difficult. She said earnestly, I'm telling the truth. Master Wang's expressions immediately turned ugly. He had a good impression of Feng Wu. He had thought she was a pretty girl with sparkling eyes, but he hadn't expected her to be so pompous. Since she was Yang Jihu's student, Wang Jiheng felt he had to discipline her. Just then, there was knocking on the door outside. Master Wang said, come in. It was Master Yang's apprentice, Mo Zimming. Master, Mo Zimming didn't even look at Feng Wu when he walked in. He took out a board full of words and asked Master Wang, I can't activate the inscriptions on this board. I've checked it 10 times, but it still won't work. Mo Zimming frowned in confusion. Mo Zimming's inscriptions had to be engraved on a formation. It had to be accurate. Chapter 3251, 3251 Clever Girl 5, 3251 Clever Girl 5. Master Wang didn't have time to teach the proud Feng Wu a lesson. He decided to solve the problem for his disciple first. He took the wooden board and checked each word in turn. He frowned because he couldn't find any problems. He wouldn't give up. Taking a magnifying glass from his side, he looked down the board word by word. He went through it from beginning to end, but still couldn't find what was wrong. Rubbing his forehead, he said to Mo Zimming, Mo Zimming, leave it here for now. I want to study it properly. Mo Zimming nodded. When he went down, he saw someone out of the corner of his eye and subconsciously turned his head. SSSS. He gasped when he saw Feng Wu. This girl looked like she had walked out of a painting. In an instant, Mo Zimming was stunned and forgot to move. I wonder if this beautiful young lady is engaged yet, Mo Zimming thought to himself. He was a level 7 inscription master and a young man with a promising future. He was the only son in his family, which was flourishing. Just then, Master Wang said to Mo Zimming without looking up, "Take Feng Wu away and have her work next to you. Teach her slowly." After thinking for a moment, Master Wang added, "Her foundation is rather shaky, and she's a little vain. Teach her well." Feng Wu was speechless. She was going to ask him why her foundation was weak and why he thought she was vain. She felt so wronged. "Master Wang," Feng Wu was about to defend herself when Mo Zimming walked up to her and said, "Miss Feng Wu, Master Wang is studying the inscriptions on the board. Come with me. I'll show you around." She indeed had to get familiar with the environment. Seeing that Master Wang was immersed in the inscription board, Feng Wu sighed and said to Mo Zimming, "Thank you, Brother Mo." "You're welcome, Miss Wu." Mo Zimming was excited to be able to get close to the beautiful girl. How could he feel tired or impatient? When he took Feng Wu away, Feng Wu turned around and glanced at Master Wang. She had wanted to tell him what was wrong with the inscriptions on the board, but since Master Wang said that her level of inscriptions was too low, Feng Wu didn't want to tell him anymore. "This is our workshop." Mo Zimming led Feng Wu into the nearest workshop. The space of nearly 100 square meters was divided into 5 sections. In the middle of the 5 sections was a rather large area. A long table was placed in the area for discussion. There were people in every room. Mo Zimming introduced each of the 5 rooms to Feng Wu. "I'm Master's eldest disciple, and I'm in room 1. Rooms 2 to 5 are all used by Master's other disciples. The disciples are allocated to the rooms according to seniority. As for you," Mo Zimming looked around and couldn't find an empty room. He smiled wryly at Feng Wu and said, "Why don't you share a room with me? If there's anything you don't understand, you can ask me." As for accommodations, Mo Zimming told Feng Wu, "We inscription masters work day and night to engrave inscriptions. We rarely rest. If you're really tired, you can just sleep in the house over there." Mo Zimming pointed to the accommodation section not far away. Feng Wu said, "No, I don't think I'll be here for long. If I need to, I'll just inscribe something in the middle area." If Jun Linyuan found out she had stayed in the same room alone with a man, he would be furious. "Wait," Feng Wu thought, "why should I care what he thinks?" Chapter 3252. 3252 Clever Girl 6. 3252 Clever Girl 6. Mo Zimming tried to persuade Feng Wu. "Xiao Wu, if you sit here, I can teach you." Feng Wu asked, "What's your inscription level?" Mo Zimming was very proud. "Level 7. Feng Wu said, "I see. What was that supposed to mean? Shouldn't she be worshipping him now?" Mo Zimming was hurt by Feng Wu's cold expression. Just as he was about to speak, someone came out of room 2. A chubby, kind-looking young man's eyes lit up when he saw Feng Wu. "This is Master's new disciple," Mo Zimming said immediately. Feng Wu shook her head. "I'm not." However, Mo Zimming and his second senior brother didn't listen to Feng Wu at all. They started chatting excitedly. "A new disciple? We finally have a little junior sister. Master finally did the right thing. Instead of finding us a junior brother, he found us a little junior sister." "What? What junior sister?" A person jumped out of room 3. He seemed to be a lively character. He was as thin as a bamboo stick and had sparkling eyes. "Look, here's the junior sister. She's especially beautiful." Both senior brothers were very excited. The third boy's eyes lit up when he saw Feng Wu. Before he could compliment Feng Wu, she said, "I'm not your junior sister." Mo Zimming asked, "Aren't you the junior inscription master who just came in today?" Feng Wu said, "Yes, I am." Mo Zimming said, "Master asked me to bring you back because he has tacitly accepted you. Don't be afraid. Since Master has said so, nothing can change it." You'll stay in our workshop. The other two senior brothers came back to their senses and consoled Feng Wu. Feng Wu felt a little embarrassed. Wouldn't it be a little too pretentious for her to mention what her inscription level was now? Moreover, the senior brothers were sincere and enthusiastic, and Feng Wu couldn't resist their kindness. Hence, she could only smile wryly. Thank you. Feng Wu looked at the last two rooms. Mo Zimming's attention was all on Feng Wu's face. Seeing that she was looking inside, he told her, they haven't completed the task that Master gave them, so they can't come out yet, in case the process is delayed. Feng Wu was curious. Process? Are you working on different stages of the same assignment? Of course, Mo Zimming said proudly. We're researching the flying fighter jet. We three senior brothers here, and the two in the rooms, are the few people in Imperial College who have studied the flying fighter jet the most. Master has been leading us on the flying fighter jet project. The flying fighter jet? Feng Wu didn't expect Master Wang to be researching it, either. Feng Wu said, I heard Master Duanmu. At the mention of Master Duanmu, Mo Zimming and the other two didn't look too happy. Yu Ban, the second disciple, pursed his lips and was a little worried. Master Duanmu is indeed studying the flying fighter jet as well. I heard he made some progress and seems to be moving faster than us. Dong Chun, the third disciple, frowned. So what if he's a little faster? I don't like Master Duanmu's attitude. He makes his disciples do all the work for him. I don't think he has ambition anymore. Mo Zimming nodded. That's right. I think our master will be the first to figure it out. Just then, they heard footsteps outside. Chapter 3253. 3253 Clever Girl, 7. 3253 Clever Girl, 7. The footsteps didn't stop and went straight to Master Wang's workshop. They looked at one another doubtfully. Who dared to go straight to their master's workshop? Weren't they afraid of being punished for this? However, they quickly ignored this matter and went back to talking about the fighter jet. Feng Wu asked, how far are you on the research on the fighter jet? Mo Zimming rubbed his chin. Although he liked Feng Wu very much, he still wouldn't tell her about such a confidential matter. Feng Wu said grumpily, Mo Zimming, did the board you give to Master Wang represent the highest level of research you've ever done? Mo Zimming almost choked. He suddenly had a feeling that the success he was so proud of wasn't worth mentioning. It had to be his imagination, right? Can you understand it? Mo Zimming looked at Feng Wu suspiciously. Before Feng Wu could say anything, she heard the sound of a teacup falling to the ground next door. I'd rather die than ask for his help. Doesn't he know what he did? Feng Wu and the others jumped at the sudden noise and rushed next door. Before they got there, the voice came again. No one knew what the other party said, but Master Wang was furious. He roared, I remember the bet we made 3 years ago. Do I need you to remind me? Go back and tell him I'll die before begging him for mercy. Get lost. There was a furious roar. Then something heavy fell to the ground. Feng Wu was about to go to Master Wang's workshop when Mo Zimming stopped her at the door. Mo Zimming's originally relaxed expression was now unprecedentedly serious. There was grievance, pain, anger. All kinds of emotions were jumbled together on his face. Feng Wu looked back and saw that the young men from rooms 4 and 5 had come out as well. They looked indignant. Everyone seemed to be furious. At that moment, the footsteps that had passed by them came out of Master Wang's room. It was a group of 5 people. The leader of the group wasn't bad-looking, but the smugness on his face ruined his looks, making him look unpleasant. The 4 people behind him all had their chins raised arrogantly. When they saw Feng Wu and the 5 disciples outside their rooms, the group leader laughed. I was wondering who it was. Aren't you Master Wang's disciples? The arrogant man glanced at Mo Zimming disdainfully. As Master Wang's eldest disciple, what level are your inscriptions at now? Mo Zimming clenched his fists, and his bloodshot eyes were filled with extreme anger. Seeing that Mo Zimming wouldn't answer, he said, I heard you're still at level 7. The man even approached Mo Zimming and straightened the ladder's collar. Guess what? I'm at level 8 already. I can't understand why they used to call you a genius. You're as foolish as your master. The man wanted to leave after that. Blue veins popped on M.O. Zimming's forehead. He raised his hands, but that man quickly suppressed him. You're a much worse inscription master than me. You won't stand a chance. Chapter 3254. 3254 Tell You Who I Am 1. 3254 Tell You Who I Am 1. The person looked at M.O. Zimming with a smile. M.O. Zimming, your master is only at level 8. Would you like to become my disciple? M.O. Zimming was so angry that he wanted to retaliate, but his strength was inferior to the other man's. The man left with a smug look on his face. M.O. Zimming was so furious that he was shaking. Feng Wu frowned. Who was that? Why is he so pompous? Yu Ban said grimly. He's Ji Ying, Master Duanmu's first disciple, and he's just as pompous as his master. By then, M.O. Zimming had run off, and no one knew where he went. Feng Wu looked at Yu Ban. Yu Ban shrugged. M.O. Zimming and Ji Ying are cousins, and they've been holding grudges against each other since they were little. That explained why M.O. Zimming was so angry when Ji Ying wanted to become his master. While Yu Ban and the others returned to their rooms, Feng Wu headed for Master Wang's workshop. She knocked on the door, but no one answered. The door wasn't locked, so Feng Wu stuck her head inside. She was slightly surprised when she saw Master Wang angrily studying that inscription board. She didn't expect that in such a situation, he still wanted to study inscriptions. She quietly walked up to Master Wang and stood a short distance behind him. The 25th symbol in the third line is wrong, Feng Wu calmly reminded him. When Master Wang turned around and saw her, he simply ignored her. Lowering his head, he continued to study each character with a magnifying glass. However, Feng Wu's words kept replaying in his mind. The 25th symbol in the third line. He couldn't help but look at that symbol. The symbols were complicated and difficult to distinguish, and it took him a while to find that specific symbol. However, he would be lying if he said he wasn't curious. Master Wang searched carefully and found the symbol. Nothing is out of place, thought Master Wang. He soon smiled bitterly. What was wrong with him? He actually thought the girl could figure something out. He suddenly spotted something when he was about to look away. Wait, the symbol just now did seem a little awkward. Master Wang's gaze shifted to the board again. When he looked at it again from beginning to end, his eyes suddenly lit up. Oh God, this symbol really is the problem. It shouldn't be used here. I should use the symbol that's synonymous with it. Yes, if I use it here, the grammar is wrong. Master Wang was thrilled. He picked up another board and carefully engraved each symbol in turn. He soon finished the new board. He didn't know why the inscriptions were so effective, but when they were finally activated, Master Wang's eyes lit up. He turned around to find Feng Wu smiling at him. Master Wang immediately asked, "How did you know that the symbol was wrong? That couldn't have been a wild guess." "Who told you that?" He stared at Feng Wu in suspicion. Feng Wu shrugged. "Do you think Master Duanmu sent me here?" Chapter 3255. 3255 Tell You Who I Am, 2. 3255 Tell You Who I Am, 2. For a moment, Master Wang thought about that possibility. Feng Wu looked at him in resignation. "Then you really think too little of me. Do you think Duanmu can order me around?" Master Wang stared at Feng Wu with unblinking eyes, as if he wanted to pierce through her with his gaze. Unfortunately, Feng Wu was much more resilient than the others, and Master Wang eventually lost the staring competition. Feng Wu said, "Who am I? I'm a level 6 spiritual king, a level 8 inscription master, a level 8 formation master, a semi-divine medicine refiner, Jun Lin Yuan's buddy, young Lord Feng's sister, the general's goddaughter, and Little Phoenix's master." She left out the part where she was Mu Jiuzhou's disciple. She had obviously borrowed this sort of character narration from a TV series she watched before. That character was the best. Feng Wu decided to add more titles to herself in the future. That sounded so cool. However, her existing titles had already befuddled Master Wang. He stared at Feng Wu in bewilderment and didn't say anything for a long time. Eventually, he heaved a long sigh. Why should he bicker with a little girl? Isn't it normal for a little girl to like to brag? Are you really a level 8 inscription master? That was what bothered Master Wang. Feng Wu said, I am. Master Wang said, I'll believe you if you can recreate the inscriptions on this board. Feng Wu said, sure. She took her phoenix pen and a blank board, then started writing the inscriptions. Each stroke left a deep indentation on the board. It was more like carving than writing. In less than 10 minutes, she finished writing the inscriptions. Instead of handing the board to Master Wang, she activated the inscriptions right away. The board was in the shape of a propeller. Master Wang's research was on inscription propellers that could make fighter jets fly. Seeing the inscription propeller move like a windmill, Master Wang looked up at Feng Wu in surprise and didn't say anything for a long time. The girl wasn't lying. She was indeed a level 8 inscription master. She was probably even better than that, because she was much faster than he was. Moreover, she could carve it with her pen, which was incredible. Master Wang stared at Feng Wu. Have you studied fighter jets before? Feng Wu nodded. I studied one for half a day. Master Wang didn't know what to say. Her half-day-long research was more effective than his years of research. What could he say? Complimenting her would make him feel like a failure. Master Wang gave Feng Wu a complicated look. You've learned so much after half a day of research. Feng Wu shrugged. What a pity. If I had half a day more, I might have solved the second half of the inscriptions and formations. Master Wang asked, the second half? Are you saying you've already figured out the first half? The inscriptions and formations on a propeller were so intricate and complicated. Master Wang had only studied less than 1/10 of it, but this girl, that wasn't possible. He wouldn't believe it. In the end, Feng Wu took out the board in front of Master Wang and started drawing inscriptions on it. Feng Wu analyzed the inscriptions and formations and showed them to Master Wang. She drew one formation after another and only stopped after she drew 10 of them. Master Wang looked at Feng Wu's exquisite inscriptions and asked in a hoarse voice, What's this? Chapter 3256. 3256 The rest of the formations. 3256 The rest of the formations. Feng Wu said, Didn't I just say I analyzed the first half of the inscription propeller? I figured out the complicated patterns on it and came up with these 10 drawings of inscriptions and formations. There are 10 layers in total, and each layer is on top of the next. Together, they form a large inscription formation. The Dongsang Kingdom is really, I have to say, their technology is indeed advanced. Master Wang looked at Feng Wu in shock. Are these formations real? Feng Wu said matter-of-factly, Of course they're real. Master Wang asked, How can you be sure? Feng Wu said, Why can't I be sure? I took the inscription propeller off the fighter jet and analyzed the spiritual formations on it. When I reached the 10th layer, I had something to do and went out. When I came back, the fighter jet was gone. Master Wang was so shocked that he didn't say anything for a long time. Finally, he realized what was going on. Wait, a fighter jet? You have a complete fighter jet? Where did you get it? Feng Wu shrugged. I told you already. I'm very capable. A complete fighter jet isn't a problem. When Master Wang thought about Feng Wu's quirky behavior, he realized the girl did have good fortune that others didn't. It was understandable that she had a fighter jet, but your fighter jet, it was stolen. Feng Wu shrugged and told Master Wang her suspicion. Master Wang narrowed his eyes. A spy from the Dongsang Kingdom. Feng Wu said, I suspect someone has snuck in. I can live with losing the fighter jet, but we have to uncover this spy, or the entire magical equipment division will be exposed at any moment. Master Wang fell into deep thought for a long time. After all, he had only just met Feng Wu, and he wouldn't trust her completely right away. That was why he was still skeptical. Feng Wu shrugged. It's fine. I'll catch the spy myself. I have a plan. Since Feng Wu had a solution, Master Wang turned his attention back to the inscription propeller. He stared at the 10 drawings on the table. So, are all of them real? Feng Wu said, "Every part of it." Master Wang asked, "So you've already reached the 10th layer of the inscription propeller?" Feng Wu said, "You can say that." Master Wang asked, "If I give you the inscription propeller, are you confident that you can analyze the remaining formations?" Feng Wu said, "It shouldn't be a problem." Master Wang rose to his feet and paced around the room. He circled the huge workshop over and over again. Feng Wu looked at him curiously. Master Wang couldn't make up his mind, so he told Feng Wu, "I'd like to have some time on my own." Feng Wu noticed that Master Wang was staring at the 10 drawings. She realized he must want to confirm their authenticity. Feng Wu nodded and left the room. After Feng Wu left, Master Wang returned to his seat as fast as lightning. He was even faster than a young man. He held a magnifying glass in his right hand and examined the inscriptions word by word. His other hand covered the remaining part. As he read, he deduced and calculated and would only refer to the remaining part after he calculated the next step. Chapter 3257. 3257 Xiao Wu, you're amazing. 3257 Xiao Wu, you're amazing. The more he read, the more astonished he became. He didn't dare to be too greedy and study all 10 drawings at once, so he only examined the first one. However, he was astonished after examining the first one. Everything was correct. There was no mistake. He was amazed. He then moved on to the second drawing. Suddenly, he felt the fog in his head lift, and everything felt clearer. OMG! Master Wang was shocked to discover that his level of inscriptions seemed to have unknowingly entered a new realm during the process of studying the drawings. He seemed to have reached level 9. Holy crap! Master Wang couldn't believe it. He took out a board and started carving and soon finished a brand new one. Suddenly, Master Wang's heart skipped a beat. If he was only at level 9 now. Feng Wu had drawn 10 drawings in the blink of an eye. Wasn't her level even higher? She was being modest when she said she was at level 8. However, he wouldn't believe her and thought she was bragging. Master Wang rubbed his forehead in embarrassment. It wasn't that he didn't want to believe her, but that she was too beautiful to be a level 8 inscription master. Master Wang thought of something else. When she introduced herself earlier, could the series of titles all be true? He couldn't think about it. If that were true, it would be terrifying. Master Wang put down the drawings and walked straight out the door. After taking a few steps, he suddenly realized something. These drawings were a treasure. Master Wang went back to the desk, carefully folded the drawings, and put them in his chest pocket. However, that still didn't feel safe enough. What if it rained? Hence, Master Wang rummaged through the cabinets again. After some fumbling around, he finally found and used oil paper. He carefully wrapped the drawings in oil paper before placing them in his chest pocket. He then patted his chest to flatten the paper. For a moment, he felt like he owned the entire world. No words in this world could describe how excited he was. And what was Feng Wu doing now? After she came out of Master Wang's workshop, she started her investigation. She hadn't forgotten that her biggest mission in the Magical Equipment Division was to investigate the inscription propeller. Now that Feng Wu was familiar with Annie Ching, they could talk about other things. Therefore, she went to talk to Annie Ching. Annie Ching was very busy. She was in charge of all the logistics. She had to take care of the clothes, food, accommodations, and transportation of all inscription masters. Moreover, she had to provide them with inscription tools and the payment of essence crystals. Annie Ching was very busy. When Feng Wu went over, she saw Annie Ching settling the accounts for essence crystals. Seeing that Annie Ching was in a daze from all the calculations, Feng Wu made a simple calculator out of inscriptions and handed it to her. Aunt Ching didn't think much of it at first, but her eyes lit up when she started using it. This is good stuff. Aunt Ching tugged at Feng Wu's arm in excitement. With this, it'll be much easier to calculate the items. I won't have to worry about making a mistake anymore. I can go through the math with the inscription calculator after calculating it in my head. I won't make any errors again. Xiao Wu, you're amazing. Feng Wu smiled. There were materials nearby. I wouldn't have been able to make it anywhere else. Chapter 3258. 3258, it's Ji-ing. 3258, it's Ji-ing. After giving Annie Ching some benefits and getting closer to her, Feng Wu would be able to ask more questions. That was a good time. Feng Wu asked Annie Ching, "Why is the magical equipment division so secretive? There are many people coming and going every day, are there?" Feng Wu and Annie Ching were the only ones in the room, so they spoke casually, as if they were just chatting. Annie Ching was happy to have someone beside her. In addition, Feng Wu had done her a huge favor, so Annie Ching told her everything she knew in return. She was quite a special figure here. Other people had to restrain themselves from talking about certain things, but Annie Ching didn't. She told Feng Wu, "We hardly ever have any visitors. Today is an exception." Feng Wu looked surprised. "Wow, what's going on today? Did something good happen? Is that why more people are coming and going?" Annie Ching said, "I don't know if anything good happened, but you're definitely my good news." Feng Wu couldn't let Annie Ching digress. She went back to the original topic. "I wonder who is the person who arrived here on the same day as me. Are they going to Imperial College?" Annie Ching smiled. "You're the only new inscription master. The other two are old friends. One of them is our deputy minister." Feng Wu asked, "Deputy minister? Is it the elder Wu I saw before?" Annie Ching smiled and said, "We have two deputy ministers here. One is Elder Wu, who is in charge of handing out assignments. The other one is Mr. Zhao. He's in charge of our security." Feng Wu said, "What? Mr. Zhao is back today?" Annie Ching nodded. "Anyway, he often goes back and forth. We're used to it. I remember someone else went out today." Feng Wu looked at Annie Ching. Annie Ching slapped her head. "Gosh, why can't I remember?" Feng Wu's stomach lurched. "My dear Annie Ching, please don't forget at such a critical moment." She looked at Annie Ching. "Is he an inscription master? Can he go out often? If I know who he is, I can ask him to bring me something." Feng Wu's words sounded casual, but in fact, she was guiding Annie Ching so that she could remember. It worked. The next moment, Annie Ching slapped her head. "I remember who it was. It was Ji-ing." Ji-ing. Why did that name sound so familiar? Feng Wu felt she had heard that name before. Feng Wu's stomach lurched. Ji-ing? Master Duanmu's eldest disciple? Feng Wu looked at Annie Ching with sparkling eyes. "You've heard of him too?" Annie Ching's inquisitive eyes lit up. "Ji-ing is very influential in our magical equipment division. He's a level 8 inscription master and Master Duanmu's first disciple. He has a bright future ahead of him. Are you engaged to anyone?" Feng Wu sighed. "Annie Ching, you're not trying to set me up with him, are you?" "What?" Annie Ching said, surprised Feng Wu. Annie Ching looked at Feng Wu and said earnestly, "I treat you as one of us, so I'll tell you the truth." Annie Ching whispered something in Feng Wu's ear. "Huh?" Feng Wu looked at Annie Ching in surprise. She hadn't expected that. Annie Ching had told her to be wary of Ji-ing and not to fall for him. Feng Wu smiled wryly. Of course, she wouldn't fall for Ji-ing, but didn't you say Ji-ing is very popular in the magical equipment division? Why? Chapter 3259. 3259 The Past. 3259 The Past. Didn't you say Ji-ing is very popular in the magical equipment division? Why? Feng Wu asked curiously. Aunt Ching told her seriously. Ji-ing is indeed an impressive figure here, and many girls are secretly in love with him. But he's... Listen to me. Don't fall for him. He doesn't have a conscience. Aunt Ching then whispered something in Feng Wu's ear. She cried out and looked at Annie Ching. How could he do such a thing? Auntie Ching said, right? He's definitely not an ideal candidate. Feng Wu nodded and told Annie Ching what she had seen at Mo Ziming's place. Auntie Ching laughed coldly. Ji-ing is taking advantage of his master's reputation. Good for him. He even dares to ridicule Master Wang. Feng Wu said curiously. Master Wang and Master Duanmu seem to have a grudge against each other. Aunt Ching let out a long sigh. This is a story from a long time ago. If you were to ask someone else, they might not be able to tell you. Only the older generation of inscription masters know. These newcomers have no idea. Feng Wu's eyes sparkled as she looked at Annie Ching. What could Annie Ching hide from her? She told Feng Wu that while this Master Duanmu was good at inscriptions, he wasn't a good person. Back then, Master Duanmu and Master Wang were fellow disciples. Their master also had a female disciple, and the two young men fell in love with her. However, the girl liked Master Wang. No one knew what Master Duanmu did next, but he forced his junior sister to marry him. She frowned. Did she marry him in the end? She did. Aunt Ching sighed. After they were married, Master Wang left his hometown and never returned. After Master Duanmu finally forced his junior sister to marry him, he didn't treat her well and married another wife. Wife? How can she be a wife? Feng Wu frowned. He already has an official wife. Other women can only be concubines, right? Aunt Ching nodded. But Master Duanmu raised that lady's status despite that, giving her the title of Madame Ru. That's the same as making her another wife. Feng Wu nodded. Master Duanmu was clearly unsatisfied with his first wife. And she had a feeling she was about to hear a melodramatic story. As expected, Aunt Ching told her, later on, Madame Ru became very powerful. She was Master Duanmu's favorite, and he spent all day in his room learning inscriptions. Madame Ru actually tortured the junior sister until the latter became sick. At that time, the junior sister was already pregnant, and the mistreatment caused her to miscarry. Just when she needed to recover from it, Madame Ru deliberately created an accident and made her fall into the stream. It was winter at that time. She asked, "Did Master Duanmu know about this?" Auntie Ching slammed the table angrily. "Is he dead? He's a living person. His wife was tortured to this extent in front of him, and he wasn't blind. He must know, but he just acquiesced." Feng Wu frowned. That's worse than killing her. Master Duanmu went too far. Auntie Ching said he was taking revenge because she was in love with Master Wang before they were married. Any girl can fall in love with one or two talented young men before they get married. Right, Xiao Wu? Chapter 3260, 3260 Madame Ru. 3260 Madame Ru. Ahem. Feng Wu didn't know how to answer her. Annie Ching went back to the topic. Anyway, when Master Wang came back to visit his junior sister, he saw her on her last breath. She used to be such a fair and tender girl who had never done any housework. When they met again, she had been tortured into an old woman with rough fingers and a withered face. She wasn't even 30 years old. As Auntie Ching spoke, her eyes filled with tears. Madame Ru was the same age as the junior sister, but she was still bright, beautiful, and delicate, looking as fresh as a 16-year-old girl. Why do good people die in vain, but evil lives for 1,000 years? Feng Wu nodded. That's how the world works. The good guys get bullied, and the bad guys get to enjoy themselves. Annie Ching looked at the girl in astonishment. She didn't expect Feng Wu to be so understanding. Feng Wu smiled. But good and evil will always be paid back. It's only a matter of time. Auntie Ching exhaled. I hope you're right. Feng Wu was confident of her verdict. For example, Master Duanmu had already annoyed her, and his life would become quite unpleasant. Feng Wu then asked, "Where's Madame Ru? Is she still alive?" Auntie Ching sneered. Of course she's still alive. She even wants to compete with me for the position of logistics officer. My husband is the minister. She must be dreaming. Feng Wu chuckled. Auntie Ching continued. By the way, she's Lady Duanmu now. If you call her Madame Ru again, she'll be furious. Feng Wu chuckled again. Auntie Ching thought of something else. Guess what? That junior sister brought Lady Duanmu back when she found the ladder on the ground, covered in blood. In the end, it became the story of the farmer and the snake. The more Annie Ching spoke, the more indignant she became. Why should we be good? The bad guys are so happy now. Feng Wu comforted Annie Ching. Not necessarily. I don't think things will end well for Madame Ru. However, there must be something special about her that Master Duanmu likes. Annie Ching said, What can possibly be unique about her? She's delicate, shy, and gentle. and can coax men. Guess what? My husband actually told me to learn from her. Bah, does he want me to be as vicious as her? Feng Wu asked, doesn't Mr. Qing know what Madame Ru has done? Auntie Qing said, how can men see all that? They only see superficial things. Other than that, they'll say women are all jealous. They say we're all jealous of other women's good looks and good personalities. Isn't that infuriating? The more Annie Qing spoke, the angrier she got, but Feng Wu burst out laughing. Annie Qing stared at her. What are you laughing at? Feng Wu said, I thought Mr. Qing was a henpecked husband. How dare he say that? Wasn't he afraid of the consequences? Annie Qing said, of course there were consequences. I chased him with a frying pan until he was almost crippled. Feng Wu pursed her lips and smiled. She could tell from Annie Qing's tone that she still had feelings for her husband. Feng Wu changed the subject. What about Jiying? What did he do? Aunt Qing said, Jiying was brought back by Madame Ru herself. He's both a disciple and a godson. By then, Master Duanmu had already been deceived by that woman. Naturally, he would do whatever she said. Chapter 3261. 3261, The Honey Trap. 3261, The Honey Trap. I don't know what's going on with this Jiying, but he learns inscriptions very fast. According to my kid, it seems Jiying built a solid foundation when he was young. He can simply memorize inscriptions and use them after a short while. But something's very strange. Feng Wu asked, what's strange? Aunt Qing said, it's very strange. After Jiying grew up, he didn't have such talent anymore. His speed at learning inscriptions isn't much faster than my boy now. That's why my boy said that he had a good foundation when he was young. A thought flashed across Feng Wu's mind, but it was too fast for her to catch. She then asked, then, which clan is Jiying from? Auntie Qing said, which clan? I don't remember if he belongs to any clan. I think he was a poor kid adopted by the Duanmu family. If he had a clan, why would he find a new one? Feng Wu said, but didn't your kid say that Jiying had a foundation as a child? Only a good family can nurture a child's inscription skills from a young age. Ordinary families can't afford to do that. It was very extravagant to hire an inscription master to teach a child. Annie Qing was stumped and looked at Feng Wu. You're right. And then? Feng Wu stared into Annie Qing's eyes. Aunt Qing looked suspicious. Why didn't I think of this before? But that shouldn't matter, right? Maybe his family fell from grace in the past. Aunt Qing didn't think much of it, but she made a mental note of it. It was very difficult to achieve level 8 in inscriptions. How many people were there in the Junwu Empire? At least 1 million people. However, among them, only Elder Mei, Elder Yin, and Master Wang Jiying here had reached level 8. The military academy had a few more, but not too many. Feng Wu had reached that level because she had her beautiful master, who was the most capable cultivator on the continent. So, how could Jiying have become a level 8 inscription master? Feng Wu took the opportunity to chat with Annie Qing for a while longer, learning everything she needed to know about the military academy side. Only then did she get up to leave. Annie Qing was quite reluctant to see her leave. She kept telling Feng Wu to visit more often. Feng Wu smiled. Sure, I'll come here often when I'm free. I hope you don't find me annoying. On her way back, she ran into Mo Zimming. She had already found out that the conflict between Mo Zimming and Jiying stemmed from their masters. Master Duanmu had always been mighty, condescending, and arrogant. He and Master Wang had a grudge against each other because of their junior sister's marriage and misfortune. How could they let this matter rest? Thus, the two sides started fighting. Mo Zimming had always been suppressed, mocked, and humiliated by Jiying. It would be strange if he didn't hate Jiying. Feng Wu felt sorry for Mo Zimming when she saw him. Mo Zimming looked a little embarrassed. He had wanted to put on a good show in front of his junior sister, but in the end, he was humiliated by Jiying. Xiao Wu. As soon as Mo Zimming started talking, a person walked toward them. It was Jiying again. Young lady, do you know who I am? Jiying, who had returned, stood in front of Feng Wu with his most elegant posture. As he tried to seduce her, he glanced at Mo, zimming provocatively. Mo zimming was furious. Jing tried to reel Feng Wu in with his crooked smile. Chapter 3262. 3262, I'll build my own fighter jet. 3262, I'll build my own fighter jet. You must be Miss Feng Wu. I'm really sorry. I left in a hurry just now and forgot to greet you. I'm Ji Ying, Master Duanmu's eldest disciple. Miss Feng Wu, I'd like to get to know you better. Crossing her arms, Feng Wu gave Ji Ying a half smile. How hilarious. Ji Ying was actually trying to seduce her. Feng Sun was 10 times more handsome than he was. Where did Ji Ying get the confidence that he could seduce her? Mo Zimming was furious because he felt he had his eye on the girl first. Ji Ying, what are you doing? Mo Zimming glared at Ji Ying. Ji Ying unhurriedly glanced at him. Do I need your approval to court the girl I like? How straightforward. Mo Zimming glared at Ji Ying, unable to say a word. Ji Ying smiled at him. Don't tell me you're in love with Miss Feng Wu too. Mo Zimming's face turned red, but he didn't say anything. Ji Ying smiled and looked at Feng Wu. Miss Feng Wu, who do you think is better, me or Mo Zimming? She gave Ji Ying another half smile. Ji Ying didn't feel embarrassed at all. He even took another step forward and said with a smile, Miss Feng Wu, do you know that Master Duanmu is the most powerful master in the entire magical equipment department? He's at level 9 now. Feng Wu asked so. Miss Feng Wu was actually talking to someone like Ji Ying. Mo Zimming felt like he was about to explode. He took a step forward and pulled Feng Wu behind him, while he stood between Feng Wu and Ji Ying. His gesture was obvious, but Ji Ying ignored him and smiled at Feng Wu. Do you want to come to Duanmu's workshop? Ji Ying smiled at Feng Wu. Our workshop is led by a level 9 master. You can learn a lot. Moreover, Ji Ying smiled at her. Guess what? He whispered something in Feng Wu's ear. He said, Master Duanmu will soon build a fighter jet. Ji Ying's eyes sparkled. It'll be the first fighter jet of our empire. All participants will be remembered forever. Feng Wu asked, do you think I'm after fame? Ji Ying said, everybody is. Feng Wu laughed. Not me. Ji Ying wouldn't believe her. Feng Wu said, that reminds me of something. Ji Ying frowned. What? Feng Wu said, I'll never become a freeloader. I can make my own fighter jet. Ji Ying seemed to have heard the funniest joke in the world. He raised his head and laughed out loud. Gosh, my belly. Little Feng Wu, you're so funny. Why are you so adorable? Ji Ying wanted to pinch Feng Wu's cheeks. Mo Zimming raised his hand and blocked Ji Ying. Feng Wu watched Ji Ying stumble back. Ji Ying glared at Mo Zimming. I'm going to kill you. Mo Zimming wouldn't back down. If you want to fight, bring it on. Seeing that the two of them were about to fight, a person stopped them. Stop. It was Master Wong. Ji Ying didn't have much respect for Master Wong because both of them were level 8 inscription masters. The two of them were equal. Chapter 3263. 3263 elated. 3,263 elated. However, just as Ji Ying was about to ridicule Master Wong, he suddenly saw the purple ribbon and golden seal on the latter's waist. His eyes instantly narrowed. In the Imperial court, only the Prime Minister, the Grand Commander, and the Grand Minister were qualified to have the golden seal and purple ribbon. In the Magical Equipment Division, such an ornament represented a level 9 inscription master. Ji Ying was a level 8 inscription master, so he had a silver seal with a green ribbon. Ji Ying stared at Master Wong. You? He couldn't believe it. How did Master Wong get his golden seal and purple ribbon? He thought only Master Duanmu was qualified to have them. However, Ji Ying knew very well that since Master Wong had them, he wasn't lying, because such a lie would be too easy to expose. Ji Ying knew that arguing with Master Wong was hardly the most important thing right now, nor did he have time to pursue a beautiful girl. He had to inform Master Duanmu and his wife right away. He said, Xiao Wu, I'll see you around. Feng Wu gave him a half-smile. If you dare. Ji Ying gave Feng Wu a suspicious look and didn't quite understand what she meant. Why wouldn't he dare? Ji Ying gave Feng Wu a meaningful look before he turned to leave. By then, Mo Zimming finally noticed his master's golden seal and purple ribbon. His eyes lit up. Master! Master! His voice was very loud, and they were by the main road. Many people coming and going noticed the golden seal and purple ribbon on Master Wang's waist. They immediately spread the news in a frantic manner. This was incredible news. Imperial College had declined because their most advanced inscription masters were only at level 8, while their opponents were level 9 ones. Imperial College used to have a person in charge, but he was forced out by Master Duanmu. Now that Master Wang had reached level 9, how could the people from Imperial College not be excited? The feeling of exultation made them so happy that they cried. Meanwhile, Master Wang said to Mo Zimming and Feng Wu, "We'll talk when we get back to the workshop." Feng Wu and Mo Zimming nodded. Feng Wu remained calm. After all, her breakthrough in inscriptions was still very smooth because she had advanced to level 8 without any obstacles. Since Master Wang was already at level 9, and she was at least as good as him, she should be at level 9 as well. Moreover, she was much better than Master Wang. However, Mo Zimming didn't feel as calm. What was that? His master had made a breakthrough. Level 9? That was the same as Master Duanmu. Mo Zimming almost couldn't stop his urge to scream. He had been waiting for this day for too long. The news spread faster than they expected. When Feng Wu and the others arrived at Wang's workshop, the 4 senior brothers were standing at the door and looking at Master Wang in excitement. Master Wang was also very happy. He had waited for this day for too long. However, he managed to remain calm and only waved at the others. "Master, are you really at level 9? Yuban rushed to their side. Master Wang pretended to be calm and nodded with a straight face. Yuban was trembling. "Master, the military academy won't dare bully us anymore, right? We have a level 9 inscription master now." Chapter 3264. 3264 Master Feng Wu. 3264 Master Feng Wu. Master Wang didn't respond to that. Master Duanmu had been a level 9 inscription master for years and had gained enough authority to hide the truth from the masses. He also had a close relationship with his superiors. Such a situation couldn't be changed overnight. Luckily, Master Wang patted his chest pocket, where he had put the 10 drawings. They were his only hope of building a fighter jet. The drawings also enlightened him, making it possible for him to rise to level 9. At that thought, Master Wang looked at Feng Wu with gratitude. Yuban followed Master Wang's gaze and smiled when he spotted Feng Wu. "Good things come in pairs. Congratulations, Master." Master Wang looked at Yuban in bewilderment. "What do you mean?" Yuban said, "Master, you've become a level 9 inscription master, and that's the first piece of good news. Another happy event is having a lovely junior sister." "A lovely junior sister?" Feng Wu didn't know what to say. Master Wang shook his head. "She's not your junior sister." His disciples were all flustered. They didn't want to lose their junior sister. Mo Zimming stepped forward. "Master, Feng Wu is so smart. She must be a quick learner. Please take her in." His junior brothers all chimed in. Master Wang shook his head. "That won't be appropriate." "Appropriate." They all looked at Master Wang in bewilderment, finding his choice of words rather strange. Master Wang said, "Miss Feng Wu is the only reason that I rose to level 9. He walked up to Feng Wu, straightened his clothes, and bowed. His demeanor was so formal. The level 9 master was bowing at Feng Wu. All his 5 disciples were shocked. They looked from Master Wang to Feng Wu in amazement. "Thank you, Master Feng Wu, for your instructions." Everyone was astonished. They all looked at Feng Wu. What did their master mean? "I thought you were a low-level inscription master. I'm so ashamed of myself." The others were speechless. "So, what did that mean?" Mo Zimming was the most astonished of them all. He had offered to let Feng Wu stay in his room in the workshop and had offered to teach her a thing or two. What he just heard shocked him. Meanwhile, Master Wong stood straight again. Mo Zimming ground his teeth and stared at Master Wong. "Master, what do you mean?" Master Wong said mildly, "I only rose to level 9 because of Miss Feng Wu's patient instructions. What's so hard to understand?" Of course, Mo Zimming understood it. He just had a hard time accepting it. If what Master Wong said was true, Mo Zimming would lose all hope. He stared at Feng Wu in frustration. "Why didn't you tell me you were so good at inscriptions?" Feng Wu was speechless. What kind of question was that? She always tried to tell other people the truth, but all they could see was her pretty face and wouldn't believe what she said. Why couldn't a pretty girl also be a clever one? Mo Zimming threw a dirty look at Feng Wu and ran out of the room. Feng Wu was speechless. Chapter 3265. 3265, the second immortal spiritual fruit. 3265, the second immortal spiritual fruit. Feng Wu looked at Yuban, who scratched his head in embarrassment. Things had turned around so abruptly that he didn't know how to face Feng Wu. Master Wong's attitude toward Feng Wu had changed so fast because he had personally seen Feng Wu create the drawings, which demonstrated her capability. He was genuinely impressed. Feng Wu said, "Unfortunately, I don't know the second half of the fighter jet's inscriptions yet." Master Wong said, "We already have the first half, and that's fast enough." Yuban said, "I heard from Jiying that they figure out 80% of the inscription propeller. It won't be long before they complete everything." Master Wong smacked his forehead. "Let's go. We need to speed up." He then dragged Feng Wu away. Master Dong Chun, who hadn't said much until now, suddenly spoke. Master Wong said, "Come here. Yuban, fetch your senior brother and tell him to join us. Quickly." Feng Wu only realized how stubborn Master Wong was when they started working together. He would work on each word in turn until he figured out everything. Feng Wu rubbed her temples and went back to work with Master Wong. In less than 2 days, Feng Wu worked out 2 drawings on her own. Master Wong examined and verified them. That meant that they had figured out 60% of the fighter jet. They were still behind Master Duanmu, but not by very much. Feng Wu couldn't delay anymore. She had more important things to do. The second fruit would ripen in less than 2 days. Feng Wu had spent the last 2 days on research and gathering information on the magical equipment division. By now, she had figured out what to do. She told Master Wong her speculation. Master Wong's eyes widened. "Is that true?" Feng Wu nodded. "I have very important things to do now. I can't stay here. Master Wong, take care of yourself." Master Wong didn't want Feng Wu to leave since she was their only hope of building the fighter jet. He was only the help. Once she was gone, the research would come to a halt. Master Wong wanted to persuade Feng Wu to stay, but Feng Wu shook her head. The second fruit was too important to lose. Feng Wu made some arrangements before leaving. Of course, the others didn't know anything about it, including Master Duanmu. Coming in and out of the magical equipment division was a difficult thing, but Feng Wu had become quite familiar with Annie Qing, and the latter would make an exception for her. When Feng Wu left the magical equipment division, Annie Qing said earnestly, "I can cover for you for 3 days at most. After that, you're on your own. Get back in time." Feng Wu nodded. "Don't worry. I'll be back in 3 days." Annie Qing added, "Elder Dongfang must never know." Feng Wu nodded again. "She won't." After saying goodbye to Annie Qing, Feng Wu wanted to go back to the fortress to see if Jun Linyuan had come out of seclusion, but she remembered what Annie Qing told her. If she went back, it might take her too long. What if the immortal spiritual fruit ripened faster than expected? She decided not to visit Jun Linyuan. When he finished cultivating, he could come to her. Chapter 3266. 3266, Sacred Imperial Spider. 3266, Sacred Imperial Spider. At that thought, Feng Wu headed for the Daedalus Woods right away. She went through the Sacred Imperial Spider's woods first. The spider was perched on a branch, looking bored. Bunches of grapes dangled from another branch, and the spider was popping them out of fun. All it could think of was Feng Wu and Junlin Yuan. The last thing it expected to see was the adorable Feng Wu hanging out with the terrifying Junlin Yuan. To make it worse, they were even a couple. The spider had hidden in the dark and watched them for a while. Poor little Feng Wu. Junlin Yuan had total control of her. The sacred Imperial spider couldn't understand why she wasn't afraid of him. The girl said she would be back. When can I see her again? Somehow, the sacred Imperial spider felt bored. It missed having Feng Wu around. She brought so much life to these woods, laughing one moment and asking for help the next. She was so much fun. The spider was still pondering over that question when a figure popped into sight. The spider recognized the person. Feng Wu. The spider was astonished. What a coincidence. However, the spider only glanced at Feng Wu and snorted. I thought you'd never come back. I said I would visit you, and here I am. Feng Wu chuckled. The spider snorted. How long has it been since the last time we met? I thought you'd never come. Did that devil lock you up? What devil? Feng Wu was perplexed. He's not a devil to you. You were so familiar with that teenager. Don't pretend you don't know him. Feng Wu said, Are you talking about Junlin Yuan? The spider snorted and looked away. I don't want to hear that name. Feng Wu chuckled. She remembered Junlin Yuan said he used to ransack the Dayless Woods when he was little. Junlin Yuan could beat up the sacred Imperial spider when he was only a little boy, while Feng Wu was still far inferior to the spider now. The comparison made Feng Wu rather frustrated. Seeing that Feng Wu wouldn't say anything, the spider stared at her. What? Has Junlin Yuan made you forget how to speak? Feng Wu was speechless. The spider said proudly, What? Are you afraid of him? Just hit him back. Feng Wu asked, Are you bold enough to do that? The spider didn't know what to say. It glared at Feng Wu before turning away. It had waited so long to see her again, but she hadn't brought it any joy. Feng Wu said, Hey, don't be so petty. The spider wouldn't talk to Feng Wu. Feng Wu was on the same side as Junlin Yuan, and the spider was very upset. Feng Wu said, If you don't talk to me, I'm leaving now. The spider still wouldn't talk to her. It soon realized things had become very quiet, so it turned around. Where was little Feng Wu? Was she really gone? The spider complained. Why did she run away? I'm not done yet. Junlin Yuan beat me up, and he'll pay for that. Feng Wu, come back. There was no sound at all. The spider became flustered. Was I so mean just then? Did I scare Xiao Wu off? Just then, the spider saw a person hanging upside down from a branch, and her face was right in front of the spider. Chapter 3267. 3267. I must find the immortal spiritual fruit. 3267. I must find the immortal spiritual fruit. Boo! Feng Wu stuck out her tongue at the spider. The spider was scared out of its wits. You! It glared at Feng Wu. Feng Wu retorted, Did you say you want to get back at him? Aren't you afraid Junlin Yuan will cut off your other legs? That poked the spider in its sore spot. It glared at Feng Wu. What was wrong with Junlin Yuan? He was a capable cultivator who didn't talk much. Why was he showing off his achievements to a little girl? Feng Wu said, All right. I'm not siding with Junlin Yuan. Don't worry. The spider snorted. Of course, it wouldn't believe Feng Wu. Feng Wu took out a bunch of snacks from her pocket. They were all human food that she had taken from the fortress. Feng Wu had traded her points for them, and she gave quite a few to the sacred Imperial spider before saying, I really have to leave now. The sacred Imperial spider was unhappy again. Feng Wu said, I'm going to the Dongseng Kingdom's fortress this time. Don't worry, I'll be back in 3 days. I'll hang out with you then. She turned to leave. Are you going there for the immortal spiritual fruit? The sacred Imperial spider asked from behind Feng Wu. Feng Wu stopped involuntarily and turned to look at the spider. The sacred Imperial spider said, You are. Feng Wu didn't answer. The spider said, Did you take the first immortal spiritual fruit too? Feng Wu still said nothing. The spider said, I knew it was you. Only a smart human girl like you can swindle such a good thing from Sakia. Feng Wu chuckled and said nothing. Sakia isn't with the peacock anymore, the sacred Imperial spider told Feng Wu. Feng Wu looked perplexed. The spider said, "You tricked Sakia once, so of course, he's going to learn from it. A few days ago, he moved the entire immortal spiritual tree into his fortress." What? Feng Wu was genuinely surprised. It's been moved to the fortress? The difficulty had increased exponentially. If it were still in the peacock's forest, Feng Wu could have disguised herself as Bu Jingyu and snuck around Mr. Sakia to steal the immortal spiritual fruit. She had planned everything. She never expected Mr. Sakia to take such drastic measures. He had moved the tree into the fortress. If Feng Wu wanted to steal the immortal spiritual fruit, she would have to get into the fortress first. However, the fortress was filled with capable experts and was even more heavily guarded. If she wasn't careful, Feng Wu felt an unprecedented sense of danger. She looked at the spider and said solemnly, "I know it's very dangerous, but I must get that immortal spiritual fruit." She had to get it, even if she had to risk her life. The spider asked, "Is it that important?" Feng Wu nodded solemnly. "I owe someone a favor. If I don't pay them back, I won't have a clear conscience for the rest of my life." "Yes, it's very important." Bauer was dying. Feng Wu felt guilty every time she thought of the little girl in the Golden Palace. With this guilt, she wouldn't get too far in her cultivation. The spider asked, "Where's your young man?" "He's not mine." Feng Wu wanted to protest, but didn't say anything in the end because the mood felt quite solemn right now. Feng Wu said, "He has his own things to do." The spider took a deep breath and finally made up its mind. It spat out a golden bead and handed it to Feng Wu. Feng Wu looked at the sacred Imperial spider in confusion. Chapter 3268. 3268 Immortal Spiritual Tree. 3268 Immortal Spiritual Tree. The spider took a deep breath and finally made up its mind. It spat out a golden bead and handed it to Feng Wu. Feng Wu looked at the sacred Imperial spider in confusion. The spider stared at Feng Wu. "Take it." It didn't want Feng Wu to leave, so it feigned a harsh tone. Feng Wu said, "You said last time this golden bead can help me avoid the other beast kings in the Dalus Woods, right?" "Thank you, little spider." "Avoid other beast kings? Do you think that's the only use of my golden bead? You'll be so surprised." The sacred Imperial spider didn't say anything else. It only urged Feng Wu, "Go now. Don't bother me. I'm going to sleep." After that, it lay down on a thick tree trunk and turned its back to Feng Wu. Feng Wu looked at the sky and saw that it was going to rain. Traveling in the rain wasn't very convenient, so she said to the spider, "I'm really leaving now. You hear me?" "Yes." The spider sounded upset. Soon, Feng Wu was dashing toward the Dongseng Kingdom's fortress, which was known as Sun Castle. The spider only sat up after Feng Wu left. Seeing that Feng Wu had turned into a black dot in the forest, the spider shook its head. Why does she have to get the immortal spiritual fruit? I don't know if she'll come back alive. How annoying. It turned away from Feng Wu. Meanwhile, Feng Wu headed north without stopping. There were 3 ways to get to Sun Castle: by water, by land, and through the mountains. Nest, the Junwu Empire's fortress, was in the south, and Sun Castle was in the north. A vast grassland sat in the middle, which was also their battlefield. The ocean was in the east, and the Dalus Woods was in the west. Therefore, she could take the sea route in the east, travel across the grassland battlefield in the middle, or go through the Dalus Woods in the west. Feng Wu hadn't explored the sea route yet, nor was she familiar with it, so she wouldn't choose it. The central battlefield was a flat grassland. Anyone from Nest or Sun Castle would immediately notice a moving figure. There probably wouldn't be anywhere to hide. She couldn't choose that path. Hence, Feng Wu chose the Dalus Woods. The Dalus Woods might be a dangerous place for other people, but Feng Wu had a map of it in her head, as well as the sacred Imperial spider's golden bead. As long as she was careful, she would be safe there. When she reached the Peacock's Woods, Feng Wu thought for a moment and decided to check it out. What if Mr. Sakia had left some clues there? However, when Feng Wu got there, things were completely different from what she had seen before. The row of houses had all been demolished. Large trees had also been transplanted in the originally flat courtyard. At a glance, Feng Wu wouldn't have noticed anything if she hadn't looked closely. It was as if it had been a jungle all along. No one would know Mr. Sakia or the wooden houses had ever been here. Feng Wu's eyes lit up. Wait, on the spot where the immortal spiritual tree had been, there was still an immortal spiritual tree. It hadn't been moved away. Feng Wu's eyes flickered. Had the spider lied to her? No, Feng Wu rejected that idea right away. The spider was terrified of Jun Linyuan. It would never lie to her. Moreover, she could tell the spider treated her as a friend. So, Feng Wu was about to take a closer look when she saw a peacock with its tail spread looking at the immortal spiritual tree as it slowly circled it. Chapter 3269 3269 Feng Wu the Great Actress 1 3269 Feng Wu the Great Actress 1 Suddenly, the Peacock King turned its head in Feng Wu's direction. Feng Wu had been hiding behind a rock, and she flinched at its stare. If she remembered correctly, the Peacock King was on Mr. Sakia's side. But that wasn't completely true. In any case, Feng Wu had bribed the peacock with a semi-divine pill last time. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been able to escape after stealing the immortal spiritual fruit. At that moment, Feng Wu noticed the peacock was mumbling something as it walked. Sakia, why are you so treacherous? You're already gone, but you still set this trap and want me to guard it for you. Feng Wu thought, what's that peacock doing? The peacock glanced in Feng Wu's direction and continued. Who are you guarding against? The second prince's men? Poor prince. If his men were here, they'd probably be blown up. Feng Wu thought, who's the second prince? The peacock glanced in her direction again. What a pity. The thief who stole the first immortal spiritual fruit was so smart. She must know you've set a trap here. Do you think your trick will work? Feng Wu finally understood. Before Mr. Sakia left, he set a trap. She and the second prince's men were his enemies. He didn't care which of them walked into the trap. Feng Wu looked at the immortal spiritual tree. The fruit was indeed still on it. If the Peacock King hadn't said so in advance, and she hadn't carefully studied it, she might not have been able to tell that it was a fake immortal spiritual fruit. This Peacock King was actually quite lovely. Feng Wu smiled and threw a semi-divine pill at it. With a swoosh, the pill drew an arc in the air. The Peacock King pretended not to be aware of its surroundings, but its body twisted slightly, and it easily caught the semi-divine pill with its claw. After that, the Peacock King quickly hid it in its sleeve. Its expression remained stoic. It glanced at the immortal spiritual tree and walked back in satisfaction. Feng Wu dashed off towards Sun Castle. Although she was now a semi-divine medicine refiner, it was still very difficult to refine semi-divine pills. The success rate was quite low. Her success rate was already on the higher side, but up until now, she had only saved up a bottle of pills. The medicinal herbs were difficult to gather. Luckily, Feng Wu still had some all-purpose transformation liquid. The liquid worked on magical beasts and plants the same way it did on human beings. Therefore, Feng Wu had been watering her herbs with the liquid, hoping to get some high-quality herbs. Fearing that she would disturb her beautiful master, Feng Wu didn't plant the herbs in her space. Instead, she planted them in the yard of the general's mansion. No one would touch the herbs planted there. As Feng Wu moved through the woods, she mulled over the information the peacock had given her. The second prince. Feng Wu had been paying attention only to the talented, showy crown prince, Night Owl, and had forgotten to ask about the other princes. Feng Wu recalled that the Dongseng kingdom used a blood tax system. Once the crown prince ascended the throne, his brothers would all die. That included the second prince and all his other brothers. Chapter 3270 3270 Feng Wu the Great Actress 2 3270 Feng Wu, the great actress, 2. The kings of the Dongsang kingdom never had any uncles because once the new king ascended the throne, he would kill all his brothers. Right now, Night Owl was the only one who had power. The other princes would definitely join forces to kill Night Owl in order to survive. At that thought, Feng Wu's eyes lit up. It seemed that she could make use of some of those people. She had specially made some clothes for this occasion. One side of the clothes was in the style of the Junwu Empire, but it was in the Dongsang kingdom style on the other side. She only needed to turn the clothes inside out, and she would be dressed just like any other Dongsanger. In addition, Feng Wu was fluent in the language of the Dongsang kingdom and was an excellent actress. As long as she put her heart into her role, no one would see through her disguise. Sun Castle was right ahead. Feng Wu took out an armband from her pocket. Feng Sun had dug up a lot from the sacred Imperial spider's woods, and she had kept a few armbands as props. Now, she could use them. Feng Wu saw a team in the crowd. She threw something on the ground and hid herself. There were 5 people on this team. At the front was a young man with a handsome face, and behind him were his companions. There were 4 men and 1 woman in the team. The girl was a healer, and the other 4 were combat-type cultivators. When they walked past Feng Wu's hiding place and were a short distance away, Feng Wu emerged from the woods and shouted at them from behind. "Did you lose something?" She spoke the Dongsang Kingdom's language with perfect pronunciation. Feng Wu had the magical soul vine on her, and the magical soul vine transmitted the language of the Dongsang Kingdom to her mind. Therefore, Feng Wu could speak the language with no accent at all. Hence, the 5 people in front didn't suspect Feng Wu at all when they turned around. In their eyes, Feng Wu was a fair-skinned, sweet girl. She looked quite modest, and they liked her very much. Feng Wu had an affable aura about her. When she smiled, her eyes curved into little crescent moons. Her smile was as warm as sunlight and seemed to have healing power. In the Dongsang Kingdom, being adorable was much more important than being beautiful. The 4 teenage boys' eyes lit up when they saw Feng Wu. Pointing at a patch of grass behind them, Feng Wu stepped forward and asked, "Did you lose something?" They followed Feng Wu's finger and looked down. There was a money bag on the ground. The money bag had the logo of the magical soul vine that was unique to the Dongsang Kingdom on it, and the stitching was definitely in the style of the Dongsang Kingdom. "What is it?" The most lively teenager in the group picked up the bag and casually opened it. Everyone gasped when they saw what was inside. Essence crystals. The sunlight shone through the slight gaps in the leaves onto the essence crystals, making them sparkle. There were hundreds of them. "Funo, are those essence crystals?" The others in the team all looked at the teenager named Funo. Feng Wu made a mental note of the bright and cheerful teenager's name. Funo nodded and said to their captain, "Captain." The captain looked at Feng Wu. "These essence crystals." Feng Wu gave him a perfectly guileless look. "Aren't those essence crystals yours? I was walking behind you, and I thought they were yours. If they aren't yours, I'd better stay here and wait for the owner. They're so valuable. The owner will definitely come here to look for them." Chapter 3271. 3271 Sun Castle. 3271 Sun Castle. After that, Feng Wu was about to take the essence crystals back from Funo. "Who says it's not ours?" Just then, the only girl on the team rushed up and snatched the bag of essence crystals from Feng Wu's hands. The other 4 members of the team looked at one another. Funo wanted to speak, but the others gave him warning looks. He shrugged in resignation and stopped talking. Feng Wu asked innocently, "Are they really yours?" The girl's name was Haney. She darted a look at Feng Wu and snorted. "If it's not mine, do you think it's yours? I embroidered the pattern on the bag myself. Isn't that right, Sanji?" Haney asked her friends. Sanji's sense of morality was obviously lower than Funo's. He immediately nodded. "Yes, it's Haney's. I can prove it." Funo was speechless. The others in the team didn't deny it either. Feng Wu chuckled inwardly, but she still put on a sweet smile. "I told you it was yours. Wasn't I right?" She grinned, revealing her white teeth. Her smile was sweet and very adorable. The captain glanced at Feng Wu. Which team are you from? Why are you here alone? Feng Wu had caught quite a few people in the Dayless Woods and had learned about the distribution of the Dongseng Kingdom's troops. Dongseng was different from the Junwu Empire. The military academy and Imperial College had always competed in the survival of the fittest. The Dongseng Kingdom only had one army, and the great general was Xue Zhibei. Below Xue Zhibei were 2 guardians, followed by 50 spiritual overlord generals, who were under Mr. Sakiya's control. Each of them was in charge of 100 cultivators. General Guqi was one of the cultivators. Feng Wu said, "I'm Kita, a member of Group 8 under General Guqi. My team was broken up by the Junwu Empire in the Dayless Woods. We lost contact, and I couldn't find anyone else." Feng Wu wasn't making it up. As a matter of fact, she had taken out one of General Guqi's teams on her way here, and it was Group 8. She was playing Kita, one of the members of that group. The team didn't doubt Feng Wu's words at all. That was because she looked, talked, and behaved just like any native Dongsenger. Who would suspect her? The captain looked at Feng Wu sympathetically. "Since you're alone, why don't you come with us?" The other team members also nodded. They felt guilty toward this girl. They had just deceived such an innocent and kind girl. Haney frowned, but before she could say no, Feng Wu said with a smile, "All right, let's go back together. I'm scared to go alone. What if I run into bad people?" Hence, with the help of a bag of essence crystals, Feng Wu managed to infiltrate the team. Feng Wu's performance along the way was flawless. She didn't reveal much about herself, but managed to learn a lot about them. It turned out that the Dongseng Kingdom's fortress wasn't a wartime construction like the Junwu Empire's. Instead, the Dongseng Kingdom was confident enough to build the fortress into a city. In the middle of the city was the general's residence. Mr. Sakiya and the Crown Prince both lived in the great general's residence. At the front of the city were 40 brigades led by spiritual kings. The other 10 brigades, led by spiritual overlords, guarded the great general's residence. Between the front line and the great general's residence was a wide street that connected the north and south. There were shops on both sides of the street, and behind the shops were residential areas with individual courtyards. Chapter 3272 3272 Armory 1 3272 Armory 1 This was very different from the Junwu Empire. Nest Fortress was divided into different living quarters in the south and north. The students lived in the south, and the generals lived in the north. But in Sun Castle, the residents were divided into groups. There were 50 groups in total. They took turns guarding the front line. When they weren't on duty, they stayed in Sun Castle. There were quite a few shops here, many of which weren't opened by cultivators. Commoners walked around the city. In other words, when all of Nest Fortress was under martial law and preparing for war, everyone in Sun Castle was living comfortably, as if they were living in an ordinary city. Feng Wu saw countless shops along the street. There were many girls waving their handkerchiefs upstairs in the Spring Breeze Pavilion. The smell of food came out of the gourmet restaurant. There was an armory that sold armor and weapons, a pavilion that specialized in selling crossbows, and even a bookstore with rows of mahogany bookshelves. Feng Wu had just arrived and wanted to quickly look around Sun Castle, so she turned to the others and said, "I'll be safe here in Sun Castle. I guess it's time to say goodbye." Feng Wu smiled and spoke in a sweet voice, and the teenagers liked her so much that they couldn't bear to part with her. Funo said, "We haven't reached your group's living quarters yet." Feng Wu smiled and pointed at the bookstore. "I'm going to buy some books and wait for my teammates. They might be back soon. I don't know how long I'll have to wait. So, I won't keep you any longer." The teenagers all wanted to speak, but Funo beat them to it. "I'm free anyway. Captain, go and submit the mission. I'll wait here with Miss Kita." He then looked at Feng Wu. It's not safe for a girl to wait by the roadside. The captain was very reluctant, but he had no choice after hearing what Funo said. In the end, he only nodded at Funo and Feng Wu and left with the team. After they were some distance away, Haney said mockingly, "Is Funo an idiot? He's giving up the essence crystals for a pretty girl. Next to her, Sanji rubbed his nose. But these essence crystals, I feel that I've let little Kita down. Haney was furious. Little Kita? Are you very familiar with her? Since when did she become Little Kita? Sanji didn't dare say a word. Meanwhile, Feng Wu and Funo waited on the street. Because Dongsangers preferred sweet and adorable girls, Feng Wu had chosen to dress up in that style. A thin fringe covered her forehead, and it didn't look thick or clumsy. On her head were two cute buns. Her hairpins had bows on them, and a few strands of curly hair framed her face. The dress wasn't the bright red color she usually wore, but was in a delicate pink shade. Her skin was as smooth as jade, so tender that one couldn't bring themselves to touch it. She looked soft and adorable. When she smiled, she had two dimples. She was lovely beyond description. Funo stood beside her and stole glances at her from time to time. He bustled around and tried to be as courteous as he could. Seeing that people passing by kept looking at her, Funo was a little jealous. He said to Feng Wu, "The sun is too bright here. Why don't we take a break in the bookstore next door and read while we wait for your teammates?" Feng Wu glanced at the bookstore. She was interested in the bookstore, but she was even more interested in the armory. Feng Wu wondered if there would be fighter jets for sale. Chapter 3273. 3273 Armory 2. 3273 Armory 2. Without another word, Feng Wu chose to enter the armory. All Funo wanted was to stay by Feng Wu's side. He didn't care which shop she went to. After Feng Wu entered the armory, Funo immediately introduced, "This armory is the biggest weapon store in Sun Castle. What do you want to buy? I know the owner. He can give you a discount." Funo was trying to please Feng Wu, but Feng Wu only smiled at him and didn't say much. The armory was indeed a top-notch weapon store. Other shops couldn't compare with it. The weapons were divided into knives, swords, crossbows, bows, and so on. The armor included light armor and heavy armor, in both male and female styles. There are also inscription bombs. However, the inscription bombs sold here were at relatively low levels. They weren't as good as the ones which Mu Yin had given to her before. Feng Wu couldn't find a fighter jet. It made sense. How could a store sell such precious military equipment? However, Feng Wu saw a small model of a fighter jet on the shelf. Funo introduced enthusiastically, "This is a fighter jet model. Although it's tiny, it has a small inscription propeller built in. It can fly." Feng Wu looked at Funo in surprise. Seeing that Feng Wu didn't believe him, Funo said, "Come with me to the backyard. I'll show you." Funo seemed to be really familiar with the shop owner. He took the model to the backyard, and the shop owner only smiled and nodded and didn't stop him. When they reached the backyard, Feng Wu kept an eye on Funo. To her surprise, the small fighter jet model really took off. Funo looked at Feng Wu smugly, as if he was asking for praise. "Am I right? It really can fly." But Funo had no idea what Feng Wu was thinking. After the model landed, Feng Wu let Funo see that she liked it very much. She couldn't take her eyes off it, and it was obvious that she wanted it. "You know that this isn't for sale." The shop owner stared at Funo and pulled him to the side. "This is the only one in the shop, and I got it from the military department. It's used as decoration and to boost this shop's appearance. You know that. Uncle Wong, I beg you, just let her play with it for a while. When she gets tired of it, I'll bring it back. Is that okay?" Meanwhile, Feng Wu was staring at the inscription weapons and armor. The Dongsang Kingdom was indeed worthy of its reputation. The level of the inscriptions on the armor was really high. No wonder when two teams of similar strength fought head-on. The Junwu Empire always had more casualties. Their inscription armor and inscription weapons were so advanced. Moreover, the cultivators could buy them directly from the armory. The Junwu Empire wasn't like that at all. Because of the difficulty in forging inscription armaments, only the stronger cultivators had the right to them, while the weaker ones had to wait in line. Feng Wu picked up a long saber and looked at the price tag on the side. 1,000 essence crystals. It was quite expensive. Ordinary people couldn't afford it. Feng Wu picked up the saber and studied it carefully, memorizing the data. Meanwhile, the shop owner finally agreed to Funo's request. He would lend the model of the fighter jet to Funo, but asked that Funo return it in 3 days. Thank you, Uncle Wong. Funo was extremely grateful to the shop owner. Chapter 3274. 3274 Curiosity. 3274 Curiosity. Kita, let's go play with the model jet. Funo went up to Feng Wu and tried to take her hand. However, Feng Wu dodged in time. She frowned at Funo. Funo was stunned. Hadn't Kita always been a nice girl? Why did she suddenly become so distant? I borrowed the model from the shop owner. Shall we go play together? Funo quickly put on a bright smile. Feng Wu's eyes were much sharper than ordinary people's, so she could tell Funo was a little annoyed. However, he suppressed his anger and continued to fawn over her. Feng Wu was speechless. How could she accept the courtship of a stranger, let alone someone with a bad temper like Funo? Feng Wu nodded at him. That won't be necessary. Funo's face darkened. Kita, it took me some effort to borrow this. It was more like a rental because he had to pay a high fee. He could tell that Kita liked it very much. Funo had already formed a plan on winning the innocent girl's heart, but suddenly, the girl's demeanor seemed to change. She didn't look like a little lamb anymore. Feng Wu said, "Enjoy the model yourself." After that, Feng Wu left the shop. Funo immediately put down the model and chased after her, but when he rushed out, Kita was nowhere to be seen. Funo was furious, and his eyes flashed with a malicious glint. The shop owner looked at Funo with a smile. "This is the first time I've seen you fail. Why? Doesn't that trick work anymore? Look at how scared the little girl was." Funo glared at the shop owner and cursed under his breath. "She can't run from me forever. I know where she lives." Uncle Wong said, "Are you going to wait outside her door or barge in her room at night?" Funo's eyes were cold. "That's none of your business." A warning look appeared on the shop owner's face. "You can sleep with her, but don't kill her. You know Mr. Sakia is in town now. If the young lady complains to Mr. Sakia, you will be finished. Understand?" Funo sneered, his lowered eyes flashing ruthlessly. No girl in this world had ever dared refuse him. After leaving the armory, Feng Wu went into a restaurant. This restaurant was called Till You Drop. It meant drink till you drop. To stay out of Funo's sight, Feng Wu found a quiet table and was going to think things through as she tried to figure out how to catch Bujingyu. Feng Wu ordered quite a few dishes and sat there alone, listening carefully to her surroundings. There were 2 middle-aged men near her. They looked like they were about to retire from the army. Indeed, the 2 of them were talking about this topic. "Chow, I would never have expected this. Only a few of us survived." Chow raised his glass and toasted the person opposite him. "Lu, we joined the army in the same year. In the blink of an eye, we're about to retire." Lu said, "That's right. Have you thought about what you'll do after you retire from the army?" They both fell silent. The Dongseng Kingdom had a blood tax system. They were all selected children who had been raised by the system. They were taught to read and practice martial arts. When they entered the army, they weren't allowed to marry or contact their families. Feng Wu remembered they weren't allowed to leave the army until they were 40 years old. After that, they could get married and stay in contact with their families. However, they weren't allowed to have anything to do with the army, and their sons weren't allowed to join the army either. Chapter 3275, 3275 Prime Minister Chu and Marshal Ant. 3275 Prime Minister Chu and Marshal Ant. These 2 men were victims of the blood tax system. Feng Wu was curious. What did the exploited people of the Dongseng Kingdom think of the blood tax system? In order to truly become a citizen of Dongseng, Feng Wu had to integrate with them and understand their thoughts and opinions. Therefore, she would try to learn more about them whenever she had the chance. Feng Wu listened attentively to their conversation. Lu asked Chow, "Have you thought about what you'll do after you leave the army?" Chow was silent for a while and smiled bitterly. "Who knows? Anyway, we've saved up some money over the years. We can always buy a few acres of fertile land and live comfortably." Lu said, "It's a pity that we're only 40 years old. There's still so much time after we retire. The money we've saved up is still not enough." Chow smiled. "There will be enough if we don't spend too much." Lu shook his head. "I really hope there's a windfall, and I can save enough money for the rest of my life." Chow said, "Lu, you're too greedy. This won't do. You've always been like this." Chow wanted to go on, but Lu impatiently waved his hand. All right. I know that. I'm only alive now because I can restrain myself. Otherwise, how can I work as Mr. Sakiya's doorman?" Chow nodded. "Mr. Sakiya, the doorman." Feng Wu, keep a mental note of Lu's face. "I heard Prime Minister Chu is coming here," said Lu. As far as Feng Wu could remember, the Dongseng Kingdom only had a chancellor. Where did this Prime Minister Chu come from? Who was he? Feng Wu knew the chancellor and the prime minister could exist at the same time. They had different job descriptions. The prime minister had a higher status than the chancellor. Moreover, there was only one prime minister of a country, but it could have two chancellors. Chow said, "That's right. I heard Prime Minister Chu is coming, but I don't know when he'll arrive. We have to be careful so that he won't notice us. Otherwise, we might get killed if we make any mistakes." Back then, one of the doormen had said something to Prime Minister Chu and got his throat cut for it. Prime Minister Chu is Mr. Sakiya's teacher, and Mr. Sakiya respects him like a god. How can we offend him? Do you think anyone dares to call Prime Minister Chu by his full name, Chu Tian Xiao? Shut up. Chow glared at Lu. "Do you want to die? How dare you call him by his name?" Lu was also frightened. He subconsciously looked around. Seeing that no one noticed this, he wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. Chow glared at him. "Have you forgotten how terrifying Prime Minister Chu is? If you don't want to live, don't drag me down with you." As he spoke, Chow picked up his hat, turned around, and left the restaurant in a hurry. Feng Wu was a little surprised. What did she just hear? Prime Minister Chu was Chu Tian Xiao, her third senior brother. And her third senior brother was Mr. Sakiya's teacher. Feng Wu was speechless. Then what should Mr. Sakiya call her? Little martial aunt. She imagined how Mr. Sakiya, the scholarly man with a calm temperament, would bow to her as a junior and respectfully address her as martial aunt. Cough. Feng Wu almost choked on her own saliva. Lu was as startled as a bird right now. He threw a dirty look at Feng Wu and turned to leave. Meanwhile, Feng Wu was already sitting on the bench next to him. Yep. Chapter 3276. 3276 Prime Minister Chu and Martial Ant 2. 3276 Prime Minister Chu and Martial Ant 2. Before Lu could say anything, Feng Wu threw a small bag into his arms. She might not have many other things, but she did have a lot of essence crystals. Lu immediately felt the strong and pure spiritual essence, and he frowned at Feng Wu. Feng Wu smiled at him. "Why don't you open it?" Lu did. After opening it, his eyes were almost blinded by the light of the crystals. There were at least hundreds of essence crystals in that bag. Oh God, Lu wasn't a powerful cultivator. He was just a doorman living on his monthly allowance. Occasionally, he could get some tips, but they weren't much. Most of the tips were in Dongseng coins, and essence crystals were extremely rare. But now there was an entire bag of essence crystals. "What do you want? You can't buy me over." Lu stared at Feng Wu. Feng Wu didn't have time to waste on him. She only had less than 2 days before the fruit ripened. However, she hadn't even familiarized herself with the most basic information about the great general's residence, to say nothing of sneaking in and doing her job. Feng Wu smiled at Lu. "What's going on with Prime Minister Chu?" Lu wanted to run. However, Feng Wu was much stronger than him, and she dragged him back into his seat. Feng Wu said, "It's quiet here on the second floor, and we're in a corner. There's no one else here. You can run, but those things have to stay." Lu looked at the essence crystals in his arms and hugged it tightly. Just a moment ago, he and Chow had wanted to do something big so that they would have a good life after retirement, but now there were so many essence crystals in his hands. Lu stared at Feng Wu with hesitation. Feng Wu grabbed the bag from him. "Hey, what are you doing?" Lu stared at the bag with bloodshot eyes. He wouldn't have felt this way if he hadn't opened the bag or held those essence crystals. However, once he felt those crystals, he couldn't bear to part with them. Feng Wu said, "Don't worry. I'm only curious and want to ask you a question. If you answer me, you can have the crystals." Lu asked eagerly, "What do you want to ask?" Feng Wu asked, "Who's Prime Minister Chu?" Lu was surprised by how simple the question was. He immediately said, "He's Chu Tianxiao, the master teacher of the Dongseng Kingdom." "I'm not surprised you don't know who he is. He retired a long time ago, and very few people of the younger generation have heard his name. The people of my generation are all familiar with his reputation." Feng Wu took out an essence crystal and put on the table. 1. However, Lu was happy with having one crystal for answering such an easy question. However, Feng Wu smiled at Lu when he tried to take it. "One moment. I'm not done yet." Lu said, "Ask me then." Feng Wu asked, "What's Prime Minister Chu's cultivation level? What's his status here? Is he nice? Does he have a family?" Lu frowned. "Prime Minister Chu is more powerful than you can imagine. He's probably the most capable cultivator in the kingdom. He almost single-handedly put our current king on the throne." Feng Wu frowned a little. She didn't know Chu Tianxiao had such a long history with the Dongseng Kingdom. Chapter 3277. 3277 Prime Minister Chu and Martial Ant 3. 3277 Prime Minister Chu and Martial Ant 3. Feng Wu put another essence crystal in the middle of the table. "Go on. Have you heard of the story of you draw your sword first?" Lu asked casually. Feng Wu neither confirmed nor denied it. She only looked at him indifferently. Lu didn't care whether Feng Wu had heard of it or not. He went on, "Actually, Prime Minister Chu isn't from Dongseng. After he came here from the south, he started his journey of you draw your sword first." Lu's eyes lit up when he said this. When Prime Minister Chu came here, he challenged the top 10 experts of the Dongseng Kingdom with a sword. I don't know what level those 10 experts were, but they were the 10 most powerful people in our kingdom. He always lets his opponent strike first, and he's never the first to draw his sword. That's how confident he is. Prime Minister Chu won all 10 battles and became the strongest person in the Dongseng Kingdom. From then on, he stayed here and helped our king fight his way to the throne. He then became Prime Minister Chu for our king. Feng Wu said, "If he won all 10 battles and no one in the Dongseng Kingdom could beat him, why did he stay here?" Lu scratched his head. How would he know? However, when he saw the essence crystal in front of him, he tried his best to recall it. Suddenly, he smacked his forehead. "I remember now. I heard someone mention that Prime Minister Chu is looking for someone." Feng Wu was curious. "Who's that?" Lu said, "I don't know. Some people say that he's looking for a colorful bird, and some say he's looking for a teenage girl. Some even say he's looking for an immortal. Anyway, it's just a rumor. It's not important." Tilting her head, Feng Wu thought for a moment. "A colorful bird? Could it be Master Phoenix?" She asked, "What about his family?" "He definitely doesn't have any," Lu said with certainty. Feng Wu gave him a strange look. "Why are you so sure?" Lu said, "It said Prime Minister Chu hates women. If a woman touches him, he'll cut her in half. So how can he get married? How can he have a family? Don't even think about it." Feng Wu was speechless. Lu continued, "So many girls have fallen in love with him, but Prime Minister Chu won't even look at them. By the way, do you have anything else to ask?" Feng Wu asked, "What else can you tell me about Prime Minister Chu?" Lu eagerly looked at the essence crystal in Feng Wu's hands. He tried to recall, but couldn't remember anything else about Prime Minister Chu. In the end, he said helplessly, "Prime Minister Chu is too powerful. Very few people know about him. I can't remember anything else." Suddenly, Lu's eyes lit up. "I heard that he has a senior brother." Feng Wu asked, "Who's that?" Lu said, "I don't know, but there's been a rumor that he has a second senior brother." A second senior brother? Feng Wu remembered her eldest senior brother was the first schoolmaster of Imperial College, and her third senior brother was Chu Tianxiao. Then, who was this second senior brother? Was he also very powerful? However, Lu's level was too low, so the information he could obtain was very limited. Feng Wu asked, "When will Prime Minister Chu come to Sun Castle?" Lu said, "That's hard to say. Some say he'll be here tomorrow, and some say he won't come. He's the top expert in the Dongseng Kingdom. How can we know his whereabouts? Right?" That made sense. Feng Wu finally asked Lu what she wanted to ask the most. "Have you seen Bu Jingyu?" Chapter 3278. 3278 Entering the Great General's Mansion. 3278 Entering the Great General's Mansion. Lu said, "Mr. Sakiya's disciple?" "Yes, I have. He's a very nice person. When he meets doormen like us, he'll tip us from time to time. We have a very good impression of him." Feng Wu nodded. "Ask him to come here." Lu looked at Feng Wu in surprise. That won't do. Lu wasn't stupid. This girl was asking all sorts of questions. She must be after something. If he tricked Bu Jingyu to come here, and Bu Jingyu walked into a trap, he would be held accountable. Feng Wu didn't say anything else. She just smiled at Lu and put all the essence crystals into her bag. Hey, what are you doing? What are you?" Lu was anxious. "I've answered many questions already." Feng Wu glanced at him. "You didn't answer the last few questions well. I'm sorry, but I'll take all the essence crystals back." Lu felt as if a knife was twisting in his heart. "Hey, wait. Let me think about it. Maybe there's a way." Feng Wu smiled at him. "If you ask Bu Jingyu to come here, the entire bag of essence crystals will be yours." Lu's eyes lit up. "You mean it?" Feng Wu said, "Yes." Lu decided to give it his all. If he succeeded, he would be able to live a better life than the others after retirement. It was now or never. "Wait here." Lu hurried inside. He was the doorman. Usually, when visitors came to the residence to see someone, the doorman would go inside to report it. Therefore, it wasn't difficult to get Bu Jingyu out. The difficult thing was to live with the consequences. But Lu couldn't resist the temptation of so many essence crystals. He returned before long and looked at Feng Wu anxiously. "I heard Bu Jingyu is locked up in his room, memorizing books. Mr. Sakiya won't let him out." Feng Wu was speechless. What kind of book could Bu Jingyu memorize? He was so dumb. Feng Wu smacked her forehead. "He should be out soon, I think." Lu looked greedily at the bag of essence crystals in Feng Wu's hand. Feng Wu was speechless. It would be really difficult for Bu Jingyu to come out on his own, so she had to go inside. "You know the map of the great general's residence, right?" Feng Wu stared at Lu. With the temptation of the essence crystals, Lu had no choice but to give Feng Wu the map. The goods were delivered, and the account was settled. Feng Wu wasn't worried Lu would report it to the higher-ups. In fact, unless the doorman had gone mad, he would never do that. He was about to retire. Making meritorious contributions was the last thing on his mind. He only wanted to earn more money and retire to live a good life. However, Feng Wu still warned him, "If you tell anyone about this, even if I die, the second prince won't let you go." Lu was shocked. The girl worked for the second prince. No wonder she was so rich. Lu immediately nodded. I won't. Suddenly, Lu felt dizzy. He immediately fell on the table and lost consciousness. As for Feng Wu, she took off Lu's outer clothes and quickly disguised herself as him. She then walked toward the great general's residence. It was right ahead. The residence occupied an extremely large area, at least 100 acres. The street in front of it was wide enough for 8 carts to travel side by side. The vermilion doors were at least 6 meters tall. There were bronze rings on the door, and 2 huge, ferocious-looking stone lions with wide eyes stood by the entrance. 2 doormen were on duty. Guards holding spears were lined up on both sides of the gate. They looked majestic and awe-inspiring. Chapter 3279. 3279 Hi, we meet again. 3279 Hi, we meet again. Feng Wu glanced around and saw someone she saw earlier. It was Chow. Anyone else would definitely be afraid now. But Feng Wu wasn't just anyone. She didn't even bat an eye. Feng Wu walked in without hesitation. Lu, what took you so long? Chow greeted Feng Wu. Feng Wu looked like she was in pain and waved at Chow. I have to go to the toilet. Gosh, go ahead. I'll talk to you later. Seeing how anxious Feng Wu was, Chow didn't dare ask any more questions. He let Feng Wu in right away. The 2 rows of guards looked straight ahead. The real gatekeeper was Chow. After Feng Wu snuck in, she dared to wander around because Lu was a doorman. If anyone asked, she would tell them someone outside wanted to see the master, and she was only on her way to make the report. She wouldn't tell them which master she was going to see, and no one would ask. Feng Wu soon arrived at Bu Jingyu's yard. Bu Jingyu lived a good life here. Because he was with his master, he had his own courtyard in the residence. However, the courtyard was right next to Mr. Sakiya's, so Feng Wu had to be very careful. The main door of the courtyard was tightly locked. Feng Wu was about to climb over the wall. However, Mr. Sakiya used formations and inscriptions to control Bu Jingyu. He actually set up a formation here just to prevent Bu Jingyu from sneaking out. Feng Wu shook her head. The formation could trap Bu Jingyu, but not Feng Wu. In a remote corner, Feng Wu made a small hole in the formation. She patched it up after crawling in. No one saw her do that. The entire courtyard was locked by the formation, so there was no need to close the doors of the courtyard. Feng Wu could hear the sound of someone reading. It was Bu Jingyu's voice. Feng Wu walked from the courtyard to the main room and took a closer look. Indeed, Bu Jingyu was sitting in the room, memorizing his book. This time, he wasn't memorizing an ancient sutra, but an inscription book. He was at level 5. Feng Wu sighed. The boy wasn't a fast learner. She quietly walked into the room. Bu Jingyu didn't hear anything. He sat on the wooden stool, swaying his head back and forth while trying to memorize the text. Feng Wu poked him in the back. Bu Jingyu frowned, thinking that it was a fly. He simply ignored the sensation and kept reciting with a bitter expression. Feng Wu poked him again. Bu Jingyu lost his patience and turned around angrily. As he turned around, he shouted, "You annoying fly! Don't you know that I—" Then, Bu Jingyu saw a middle-aged man. He looked as if he had seen a ghost and was astonished. "How did you get in here?" Bu Jingyu jumped to his feet, grabbed his sword from a wall, and pointed it at Feng Wu. "Hey, aren't you the doorman?" When Bu Jingyu wasn't confined to the room by his master, he liked to go out, so he was still a little familiar with the doorman. Crossing her arms, Feng Wu smiled at Bu Jingyu without saying anything. The teenager felt his blood run cold under Feng Wu's gaze. Those eyes were too sharp and domineering. They shouldn't belong to a doorman. "Who are you?" Bu Jingyu suddenly had a bad feeling. His heart shook. Feng Wu smiled at him. "Take a guess." Chapter 3280. 3280 How can she be so calm? 3280 How can she be so calm? This time, she didn't imitate Lu's voice. Hence, Bu Jingyu immediately recognized her voice. He trembled because of that. Bu Jingyu's voice shook. "You're Feng. Feng Wu wiped the disguise off her face. A beautiful face appeared in front of Bu Jingyu, shattering all his fantasies. It really was her. "Hey, it's been a while." Feng Wu stuffed Lu's robe into her storage space. Who knew if she would ever need it again? Bu Jingyu stared at Feng Wu in shock. "You came just like that. Do you know where we are?" Feng Wu said innocently. It's not the first time. Bu Jingyu didn't know what to say. What could he say? Apart from expressing his astonishment, what else could he say? Bu Jingyu paced around the room with his hands behind his back. As he walked, he turned around and glared at Feng Wu. "Aren't you afraid my master will find out?" Feng Wu asked. "Did your master notice last time?" Bu Jingyu almost choked to death. He couldn't understand it. His master was so smart. How did he get fooled by this cunning girl last time? Bu Jingyu ran up to Feng Wu. "Aren't you afraid I'll tell on you?" Feng Wu casually picked up a peach and nibbled on it. She then crossed her legs and said casually, "Go ahead." Bu Jingyu asked, "Aren't you afraid?" Feng Wu grinned at him. "Believe it or not, when 2 Bu Jingyus appear in front of your master, I'll have a way to make him think you're the imposter." And then Feng Wu made a gesture of cutting off Bu Jingyu's head. Bu Jingyu cried out in frustration. It wasn't that he didn't believe it. It was because he believed every word. She was even smarter and more cunning than his master. Bai Jingyu realized his master might actually fall for her tricks and kill him. At that thought, Bu Jingyu felt a chill run down his spine, and he twitched as he stared at Feng Wu. Feng Wu said, "Why are you fidgeting? I'm not going to tell on you to your master with an anonymous letter." Bu Jingyu asked, "Anonymous letter? Turn me in? What can you turn me in for? I always abide by the law and never do anything against my conscience." Feng Wu grinned at him. "How about betraying your country and stealing the immortal spiritual fruit for the Junwu Empire?" Bu Jingyu almost spat out a mouthful of blood. "Are you trying to frame me?" Bu Jingyu gritted his teeth and glared at Feng Wu. Feng Wu nodded earnestly. "If you tell your master." Bu Jingyu took a deep breath. He wasn't angry. Even his master couldn't see through her tricks. It was normal that he would lose the argument. However, Bu Jingyu suddenly realized something. "So, you really stole the first immortal spiritual fruit?" Feng Wu said, "What do you mean I stole it?" Bu Jingyu was the one who stole the first immortal spiritual fruit. "Have you forgotten?" Bu Jingyu was shocked. He was so angry. He didn't want to talk. While Bu Jingyu was fuming, Feng Wu was sitting on a recliner, casually eating some fruit. The fruits of the Dongseng Kingdom were tender, juicy, and extremely delicious. Bu Jingyu looked up at the sky. He had never seen a spy like her before, sneaking into the kingdom like this. How could she be so calm and composed? How could she? However, he was the one who was anxious. Bu Jingyu took a deep breath and suppressed his anger. He stomped over to Feng Wu and stared down at her. "What are you doing here?" Chapter 3281. 3281, please help me. 3281, please help me. What did she want? Taking out a handkerchief, Feng Wu slowly wiped each of her fingers clean and grinned at Bu Jingyu. "What do you think I'm trying to do?" Bu Jingyu said, "I don't know." Feng Wu smiled. "That's why it's better you don't know." Bu Jingyu asked why. Feng Wu said, "Wouldn't it be even more awkward if you did? You'll have to cooperate with me when you find out." Bu Jingyu thought about it and agreed. If he knew what she wanted and still helped her, he would really be betraying his master and the Dongseng Kingdom. "All right, I won't ask, but you have to promise not to harm the Dongseng Kingdom." Feng Wu looked at Bu Jingyu as if he was a retard. If she took advantage of him, it would harm the interests of the Dongseng Kingdom. If she didn't want to take advantage of him, why did she come to Sun Castle? Bu Jingyu also realized he had asked an extremely stupid question. He scratched his head and rephrased. "What I mean is you can't harm me. I still have to live in the Dongseng Kingdom." Feng Wu said, "I'll do my best." In her plan, Bu Jingyu wouldn't be exposed, but not everything was within her control. Who knew what would happen? Bu Jingyu said, "If you expose me, I will definitely expose you too." Feng Wu smiled. "Sure." Why did she agree so easily? Bu Jingyu looked at Feng Wu in confusion. He couldn't help but wonder if she was up to no good. "When are you leaving?" Bu Jingyu asked. Feng Wu said, "I'll leave as soon as I finish the mission." Bu Jingyu wanted to ask her what her mission was, but then he realized that if he found out, he might. So, he glared at Feng Wu and grabbed a book. "You should leave now." After that, Bu Jingyu went back to memorizing his text. Feng Wu smiled. This kid was quite adorable. While Bu Jingyu worked on the text, Feng Wu paced around the room with her hands behind her back. First of all, she had to familiarize herself with Bu Jingyu's room. She had to know the decor in the room, his clothes, accessories, and so on. While Feng Wu was picking out Bu Jingyu's clothes, she heard footsteps outside. Bu Jingyu's recital suddenly stopped. He rushed in and pointed at Feng Wu. "Did you recite on moral for my master last time?" Feng Wu said, "I did." Bu Jingyu asked, "You even recited level 4 inscriptions for him, didn't you?" Rubbing her chin, Feng Wu said, "I think your master has even told you to recite the level 5 ones." Bu Jingyu was anxious. "Do you know the texts?" Feng Wu looked at him as if he were a retard. "What level do you think I am at? How do you think I got through your master's formation?" Bu Jingyu realized she had a point. Even my eldest senior brother wouldn't be able to get in if he didn't know the method, Bu Jingyu said with certainty. Bu Jingyu's eldest senior brother was Zhu Yi, right? Feng Wu remembered him. In other words, you can recite level 5 inscriptions, right? Feng Wu said, it's a piece of cake. Do it for me. Bu Jingyu said, Master is going to test me, but I haven't memorized them yet. I don't know what's going on, but I keep forgetting what I've memorized. Anyway, I can't do it no matter what. Feng Wu feigned hesitation. Well, but Bu Jingyu said, I'm begging you. You can come and go as you please while staying here. I won't interfere with you. If necessary, I'll even help you, as long as you recite the text for me. Is that all right? Xiao Wu, please help me. Chapter 3282. 3282, who's that? 3282, who's that? Feng Wu was speechless. Bu Jingyu would go that far to avoid memorizing texts. Bu Jingyu said, hurry up, change your clothes. My eldest senior brother will be here soon. He must be here to check on my schoolwork on behalf of my master. Feng Wu asked, how did you know it's your senior brother? Bu Jingyu said, he comes every 10 hours to check on me. I'll be trapped in this room forever if I can't memorize everything. I'm suffocating. Bu Jingyu pushed Feng Wu to the cabinet. These are all my clothes. Get changed. As Bu Jingyu spoke, he opened the cabinet. Feng Wu asked, why are there 10 sets of clothes in the same color and style? Bu Jingyu said, Master says this way, my state of mind won't change because of the style of my clothes. Master also has 10 sets of the same clothes like this. Feng Wu was speechless. Bu Jingyu waited anxiously outside. By then, Feng Wu had finally changed into his clothes. She walked out, and Bu Jingyu had mixed feelings when he saw her. She looked almost identical to him. Unless it was himself, no one else would be able to tell the difference. Just then, the sound of footsteps approached. Bu Jingyu told Feng Wu everything that had happened recently, then darted into the bedroom. Feng Wu saw that Bu Jingyu didn't hide under his blanket. He slipped under the bed with a swish. Feng Wu was speechless. The door opened before Feng Wu could close the bedroom door. Zhu Yi, the eldest senior brother, was here. He resembled Mr. Sakiya the most, be it in his attire, speech, or actions. He strictly followed Mr. Sakiya's standards. Still, while they seemed alike, that was at a superficial level. Feng Wu could feel Zhu Yi's vigorous energy the moment he walked in. He was a spiritual overlord. However, Feng Wu wasn't sure what level he was at. Jingyu, Zhu Yi stood at the door and said calmly, have you memorized it? Bu Jingyu, who was under the bed in the inner room, shook with fear. Although he knew Feng Wu looked exactly like him, she still wasn't him. His senior brother and master were both extremely wise and intelligent people. Would they find out? Bu Jingyu was so nervous. Feng Wu looked at Zhu Yi and said obediently, Senior brother, I know a little. What do you mean by a little? Zhu Yi frowned. Feng Wu said, maybe. I need a little more time. Zhu Yi rubbed his temples. A little more time? It must be a lot more than that. Zhu Yi looked at Feng Wu, looking disappointed. Master is going to test you. Come with me. Feng Wu nodded. Zhu Yi looked at Feng Wu and frowned. Don't forget where you came from. How can you be so lazy? Someone will be disappointed. Someone? Who? Feng Wu wasn't sure. Bu Jingyu hadn't told her that. Zhu Yi continued. Back then, he was the one who handed you to Master and asked Master to train you. If you're still so useless, when that person comes back and sees you like this, Master will be punished. Understand? Feng Wu was curious, but she didn't dare ask. Who was that person? Why didn't Bu Jingyu tell her the important information? Feng Wu wanted to punch him. Zhu Yi said as he walked with Feng Wu, that person will be here soon. Work hard and don't disappoint him. Got it? Feng Wu said timidly, yes. Chapter 3283. 3283, Meeting the Crown Prince Again. 3283, Meeting the Crown Prince Again. Zhu Yi seemed strict, but he was a chatterbox along the way. He kept telling his junior brother to work hard. Feng Wu nodded eagerly. However, Zhu didn't seem convinced at all. He looked at his junior brother with disappointment and resignation. Feng Wu thought Zhu would take her to Mr. Sakiya's yard. According to Bu Jingyu, Mr. Sakiya's courtyard wasn't far from Bu Jingyu's. They were only hundreds of meters apart. But now, they had already walked past several lakes, pavilions, and long corridors. It had been over 30 minutes. Where are they going? Feng Wu recalled the map Lu had drawn for her. They were going to the main courtyard. As expected, soon, she saw the plaque of the main courtyard ahead of them. The path leading to the main courtyard was hundreds of meters long. It was wide enough for 8 carts to travel side by side and was paved with green jadestone slabs. The ground was smooth and orderly, giving off an indescribable noble aura. Master is taking care of the crown prince. Zhu lowered his voice and told his junior brother, Master hasn't recovered yet, and the crown prince's injuries have been unstable. Master is very busy and doesn't have the energy to focus on you. Don't cause more trouble for Master again, all right? Feng Wu nodded obediently. Yes. Zhu frowned. He could tell from his junior brother's tone that the latter wasn't serious. He tried to warn Bu Jingyu, just because you were sent by our martial grandfather doesn't mean you can be so arrogant. With that connection, you should work harder. Martial grandfather. Wait. Feng Wu did some calculations in her head. Mr. Sakiya's master was Chu Tianxiao. That meant Zhu and Bu Jingyu's martial grandfather was her third senior brother. Feng Wu said, I know that. Feng Wu's voice was as soft as a mosquito's, and Zhu felt sorry for his junior brother. He said, if you really can't memorize it, just cry out martial grandfather's name when master is about to hit you. Understand? Feng Wu asked, will martial grandfather be there? Zhu looked at Feng Wu in resignation. Of course he won't show up, but master respects him the most. If you cry out martial grandfather's name, master won't beat you to death. You know you made a bet with master. If you can't memorize the text, you'll chop off a finger. Feng Wu was speechless. How did Bu Jingyu dare to make such a bet? That was so bold of him. Feng Wu said, thank you, senior brother. Zhu let out a long sigh. Master has yet to recover from his injuries, and his royal highness is still injured. The second prince is getting restless. If martial grandfather shows up now, all the problems will be easily solved. Feng Wu's eyes lit up. She had seen her third senior brother before. She remembered his appearance, his clothes, and his sword. If she pretended to be her third senior brother and tricked Mr. Sakiya, would she have a better chance of getting the second immortal spiritual fruit? Feng Wu decided to plan it out. Jingyu, what are you thinking about? Zhu asked Feng Wu with a frown. Feng Wu said, I'm trying to remember the inscriptions. Zhu nodded in satisfaction. This child finally knew fear. By then, the two of them had already entered the main courtyard. The main courtyard consisted of quadrangle dwellings. After entering the main entrance, there was a house facing the opposite direction. Beyond that was the patio. Stepping through the door, Feng Wu saw rows of mahogany chairs, which gave her a sense of formality. Zhu didn't stay in the reception area. Instead, he led Feng Wu into the inner room. Chapter 3284. 3284 Jun Linyuan has powerful aid. 3284 Jun Linyuan has powerful aid. Feng Wu saw several people in the room, and she knew most of them. The one lying on the bed was the crown prince, Night Owl. There were 2 people sitting in front of his bed. One was Mr. Sakiya, and the other was someone Feng Wu had never seen before. This person looked to be about 30 years old. She had fair skin and looked quite charming. Mu Yin stood behind her respectfully, not daring to make any reckless move. Emolan, how's His Royal Highness? Mr. Sakiya asked the beautiful woman with a pale face. Emolan? Feng Wu thought of something. Emolan was a semi-divine medicine refiner of the Dongseng Kingdom and Mu Yan's master. Wasn't she supposed to be in the capital of the Dongseng Kingdom? Feng Wu didn't expect Mr. Sakia to invite this semi-divine medicine refiner over. She wanted to see how good Mo Lan's medical skills were. Mo Lan's expression was cold. She glanced at Mu Yin and instructed her to take care of the crown prince. Mu Yin immediately said yes. Mo Lan pushed Mr. Sakia's wheelchair out. Seeing how close they were, Feng Wu was curious. What was the relationship between Mo Lan and Mr. Sakia? At that moment, Mr. Sakia spotted Bu Jingyu, his young disciple. He glared at the latter. Feng Wu was baffled by his stare. She hadn't done anything wrong. Seeing Bu Jingyu, Mo Lan nodded at Feng Wu gently and said with a smile, Jingyu, you can't memorize the text again? Zhu, you have to teach him well. Don't lecture him all the time. Zhu, he nodded. Feng Wu could tell Mo Lan held a high position in the Dongseng kingdom. She was almost on par with Mr. Sakia. As Mo Lan pushed Mr. Sakia into the main hall, she said softly, you have to be more careful with your injuries. Otherwise, there will be repercussions and endless trouble in the future. Mr. Sakia said, I'm fine. Mo Lan chided him. Who's the semi-divine medicine refiner? You or me? If I say you're not fine, then you're not fine. Mr. Sakia smiled bitterly. Yes, of course. Mo Lan sighed. Actually, the immortal spiritual fruit. Before she could finish her sentence, Mr. Sakia interrupted her sternly. The immortal spiritual fruit belongs to His Royal Highness. No one can steal it. Even if I were to die from my injuries, I wouldn't touch it. Mo Lan, do you understand? Mo Lan frowned, not looking too happy. Mr. Sakia softened his tone. His Royal Highness is the Dongseng Kingdom's only hope. The second prince won't do it. Mo Lan said, His Majesty is still in his prime. There are still many years left. He might still. Mr. Sakia shook his head. Do you think geniuses grow in batches in this world? After Jun Lin Yuan appeared in the south, Night Owl appeared in our kingdom. Heaven has already taken pity on us. He's the only one. Mo Lan let out a long sigh. But he's seriously injured. Jun Lin Yuan has already hurt you so badly. Our crown prince, their crown prince, was still lying in bed, his fate unknown. This showed the difference between the two crown princes. Mr. Sakia said, Jun Lin Yuan has someone powerful with him. Mo Lan asked, Night Owl has you, doesn't he? After that, Mo Lan knew she had said the wrong thing. Their opponent had snatched the immortal spiritual fruit from Mr. Sakia, and until now, they still hadn't found out how their opponent had stolen it. However, Jun Lin Yuan had already used the fruit and recovered. Indeed, Mo Lan noticed that Mr. Sakia's expression had turned extremely ugly. Chapter 3288. 3288. Who is Chu Tianxiao looking for? 3. 3288. Who is Chu Tianxiao looking for? 3. Seeing how useless Bu Jingyu was, Feng Wu understood right away. Are you worried Night Owl will take revenge on you guys when he takes the throne? Bu Jingyu said, What do you mean by worried? That's for sure, all right? It's so difficult to be a prince in the Dongseng Kingdom. Feng Wu looked at Bu Jingyu sympathetically. Is it true your king will kill all his brothers after he takes the throne? Bu Jingyu was in awe. Yes. Feng Wu said, How cruel. Bu Jingyu said, Yes. Feng Wu asked, So, you think you're going to die? Bu Jingyu looked at Feng Wu in shock. Do you think I can beat the crown prince? Feng Wu said, Well, one has to have dreams. Bu Jingyu shook her head. That's impossible. The crown prince stands above us like the sun. He's the most talented prince in the Dongseng Kingdom. No prince can compete with him. None. Feng Wu hadn't thought of that at first, but something suddenly occurred to her. Isn't the crown prince still unconscious? Bu Jingyu said, if you feed him the immortal spiritual fruit, the crown prince will wake up. Feng Wu said, what if the immortal spiritual fruit doesn't get fed to him? What? Bu Jingyu was stumped. He had never thought of this before. Bu Jingyu said, but master is here. Feng Wu smiled. Your master was there last time, and he had still been completely fooled. Bu Jingyu looked at Feng Wu in surprise, and his eyes lit up. Who would want to die if they could live? However, Bu Jingyu smiled bitterly. But even if you can really steal the immortal spiritual fruit and the crown prince doesn't wake up, it won't be my turn. There are more than 20 princes fighting for that position. Feng Wu said, your king is so active. Bu Jingyu smiled bitterly. What's the use of that if we can't live long? Feng Wu said, so according to what you're saying, aren't the other 20 princes all working together to fight off Night Owl? Because according to the kingdom system, if Night Owl really took the throne, he would definitely kill all his brothers. Then, none of these 20-odd princes would be able to escape. Bu Jingyu said, I heard they were, but I didn't participate. Feng Wu stared at him. Bu Jingyu said, when my mother gave birth to me, the crown prince was already outstanding. My mother knew it was impossible for me to win this position, so she swapped me out. I should have been the 18th prince. Bu Jingyu smiled bitterly. Only Grandmaster, Master, and Senior Brother Zhu know my identity. No one else knows. My father should know as well, but he pretends he doesn't, Bu Jingyu said. That's because Martial Grandfather was behind this, and Father is actually afraid of Martial Grandfather as well. Feng Wu said, then I'm curious. Why did your Martial Grandfather, a.k.a. Chu Tianxiao, help you? I heard my mother did him a small favor. Feng Wu asked, your mother could do that? Bu Jingyu said, my mother is a witch. She sacrificed her life and performed a divination for my Martial Grandfather. Feng Wu was curious. What divination? Bu Jingyu said, I think he's looking for someone. Feng Wu asked who. Bu Jingyu said, I'm not sure. I only know he's looking for someone. Chapter 3289. 3289. Who is Chu Tianxiao looking for? 4. 3289. Who is Chu Tianxiao looking for? 4. My mother's divination contained a portrait. The maid who accompanied me at that time was a master at drawing. She drew the portrait. I've seen it before. Feng Wu asked, where's the painting? Bu Jingyu said, I remember I brought it with me. According to the maid, if my life really is in danger in the future, I can use it to ask for Martial Grandfather's help. My brother, the Crown Prince, might actually spare my life. Feng Wu said, let me see the painting. Bu Jingyu refused. That won't do. That's... Feng Wu said, then you can memorize your own text tomorrow. She headed for the door. Bu Jingyu immediately stopped her. Hey, don't do that. Why are you so grumpy? Why are you always angry? I'll show you, all right? Bu Jingyu rolled his eyes at Feng Wu and nagged. It's just a painting. Look at how curious you are. You won't be able to tell anything even if you look at it. Feng Wu asked why. Bu Jingyu said, I haven't seen anything in it after so many years. What can you possibly see? As Bu Jingyu spoke, he rummaged through the cabinets. Finally, he found a well-wrapped package in a drawer. He opened the waterproof first layer, the fireproof second layer, then the third layer. After opening all 5 layers, Feng Wu saw a scroll inside. Bu Jingyu carefully unrolled the painting. As he unrolled the painting, he said to Feng Wu, I'm telling you, this is just a little girl's painting. Besides, I don't think there's such a little girl in this world. When Bu Jingyu finished unrolling the scroll, Feng Wu was dumbfounded. This painting, the little girl in the painting, she was only 3 or 4 years old. On her head were 2 small buns decorated with white beads. She had fair skin and exquisite facial features. Her big eyes in particular were clear and innocent. Her chubby little hands and cute little fairy dress were simply so soft and cute that they made one want to scream. No matter whose family's little girl it was, everyone would want such a daughter. Why was Feng Wu dumbfounded? Wasn't the girl her? She had looked like this when she was 3 years old. Not all little girls looked alike. It was really rare to see a good-looking little girl like her. Look at the little white beads on the buns and the little red dress with the white fur on the edges. The beautiful lady had sewn those clothes herself. There was no other dress like it in the world. Bu Jingyu was confused by Feng Wu's dazed look. He waved his hand in front of Feng Wu's face. Wake up! Wake up! Feng Wu finally snapped out of her daze and stared at Bu Jingyu. Was her third senior brother looking for her? Why was he looking for her? Did he know of her existence? Would he? Feng Wu had so many questions in her head, and she wanted to find Chu Tianxiao right now. However, she still didn't know where this martial grandfather was. Bu Jingyu nudged Feng Wu. Hey, Boss Feng Wu. Boss Feng Wu, are you perplexed too? I thought someone as good-looking as you wouldn't be shocked by someone else's looks. As Bu Jingyu spoke, he sighed. I wonder what this little girl looks like now. She must be as beautiful as a god, right? When I grow up, I must marry her. In your dreams. Feng Wu slapped Bu Jingyu on the head. Don't even think about it. Chapter 3290. 3290. Who is Chu Tianxiao looking for? 5. 3290. Who is Chu Tianxiao looking for? 5. Ouch. Rubbing his head, Bu Jingyu looked at Feng Wu accusingly. I didn't say I wanted to marry you. The little girl in the painting looks so cute and obedient. She won't be as fierce as you. Oomph. Feng Wu said, cut the crap. What does Chu Tianxiao want with this girl? Bu Jingyu said, I don't know. The maid didn't say. Feng Wu asked, where's your maid? Bu Jingyu said sadly, she's dead. Feng Wu asked how. Bu Jingyu shook his head and didn't say much. My mother is already dead, and my maid is also dead. You can't get any answers. Bu Jingyu rolled up the painting and wrapped it up layer by layer. He was very careful, afraid that he would leave marks. This is my life-saving charm, Bu Jingyu said solemnly to Feng Wu. Feng Wu rubbed her temple, thinking, your real life-saving charm is right in front of you, okay? But Feng Wu wouldn't tell anyone that. Would he? She thought that Chu Tianxiao might be looking for her out of good intentions. But what if? Therefore, Feng Wu decided to hide her identity and wait to see what happened. She looked up and saw it was getting dark outside. She wouldn't be staying in Sun Castle for long, so she had to act as soon as possible. Hence, Feng Wu asked Bu Jingyu, do you know where the golden leg bone is? Bu Jingyu looked at Feng Wu in distress. Don't tell me you want to take the golden leg bone with you as well. Feng Wu said, why not? Bu Jingyu said, it's in the main courtyard where the crown prince is. It's heavily guarded, and the place is rife with danger. Do you really want to take it? I advise you not to. Feng Wu asked, what about the immortal spiritual fruit? Bu Jingyu said, I think you're going to die this time. Feng Wu asked, where's the immortal spiritual fruit? Bu Jingyu said, you stole the last one, so this time, Master set layers of traps to confuse you people who want to snatch the immortal spiritual fruit. I don't know where the fruit is, and Master definitely won't tell me. I know my second eldest brother is determined to get it this time as well. That's because if the crown prince dies, the second prince will be the most outstanding person among the princes, and he'll most likely take the throne. Master even suspects that the loss of the first immortal spiritual fruit was the work of the second prince in cooperation with the Junwu Empire. Feng Wu said, your master sure is imaginative. Bu Jingyu said, but master will never know it was you. Feng Wu said, and you? Bu Jingyu glared at Feng Wu. I already tried to talk you out of it, but you won't listen and insist on getting yourself killed. What else can I do? Just then, Feng Wu asked, where's the armory? Bu Jingyu stared at Feng Wu with wide eyes. Feng Wu grinned. Bu Jingyu said, you? Forget it. I don't want to talk to you. Go get killed. At first, he had thought Feng Wu was here for the immortal spiritual fruit, but he had never expected that she was after more than that fruit. Apart from the immortal spiritual fruit, she also wanted the golden leg bone and the flying fighter jet. He had no choice but to admire her. Bu Jingyu pretended he didn't know anything, but by then, Feng Wu had already gone out. The first place she had to go was the main courtyard. Feng Wu had made sure to put on some disguise when she left. She was dressed in black, covering herself with a black scarf and a black hat and leaving only her eyes visible. Chapter 3291 3291 Night Visit 3291 Night Visit. Her eyes were also disguised. So, as long as she wasn't caught red-handed, she could dash off, put away her night clothes, and turn into Bu Jingyu again. Feng Wu ran through the night like a cat. Because Zhu Yi had walked the route with her earlier in the day, and Feng Wu had a good memory, she soon reached the main courtyard. Shuizhi Bei used to live in the main courtyard, but the crown prince lived there now. Shuizhi Bei moved to Wind Snow Tower in the east. Mr. Sakia lived in the left courtyard in the south. Bu Jingyu and Zhu Yi also lived with him. Lan had also moved in. The rest of the military officers lived in the west. As for the north side, the stewards, maids, and servants all lived there together. Because of what Bu Jingyu said, Feng Wu went straight to the main courtyard. She was ready for action. The crown prince was unconscious, and his brothers all wanted to kill him so that they could survive. Therefore, they would definitely take this opportunity to assassinate the crown prince. This was a grand battle royale. If only one person could survive, then in order to survive, everyone would become even more ferocious than wild beasts. That was how Night Owl's brothers were right now. They couldn't wait to take out Night Owl, who sat firmly in his position as the crown prince. At the entrance of the main courtyard, a row of guards stood in a line, guarding the door. These guards were the violent blade guards that Mr. Sakia had trained for Night Owl. There were a total of 10 of them, and all of them were extremely ferocious. Feng Wu hid in the shadows of some rocks nearby, trying to figure out a way to sneak in without anyone noticing. At that moment, a cold voice rang out. "Since you're here, why don't you come out and meet me?" Mr. Sakia's voice. Feng Wu's stomach lurched. She hadn't even thought of a way in, but Mr. Sakia had already noticed her. Just as she was wondering if she should run away, a figure flew past her and charged forward. Wherever he passed, a cold light flashed. The light came from a sword in his hand. Feng Wu was speechless. So, the person Mr. Sakia was referring to wasn't her. That made sense. To make Mr. Sakia wary, a person should be at least a spiritual overlord. The person flying over her head was a spiritual overlord. Feng Wu wasn't sure about that person's exact level. She only saw a flash of light as the man flew past the guards. Although the 10 guards in a row were clad in golden armor and held long sabers in their hands, they were actually unable to resist the enemy's attack. In an instant, all 10 heads were cut off and blood spewed out from their headless bodies. It was bloody and terrifying. Feng Wu had 2 choices. Should she take the opportunity to enter or turn around and escape? Feng Wu chose the first option without hesitation. An expert had drawn Mr. Sakia's attention. If she didn't sneak in now, she wouldn't find such a good opportunity again. At that thought, Feng Wu flipped and entered the main courtyard. It was a courtyard with all the necessary houses. Near the door was a house facing the opposite direction. On the left and right sides were the east and west wings. Beyond them was the main room. Feng Wu remembered what Bu Jingyu had said when she was about to leave. There was a secret passage under the east wing that was suitable for hiding things. However, Feng Wu saw that the defense formation in the west wing was more rigorous. Chapter 3292 3292 Lone Sword 3292 Lone Sword. Mr. Sakia, Feng Wu thought to herself. The east wing was facing the west. In the dark, Feng Wu tiptoed toward the east wing without hesitation. However, before Feng Wu could rush into the east wing, an invisible shockwave spread out from the courtyard with Mr. Sakia at the center. It was such a terrifying power. In an instant, Feng Wu was almost sent flying away. Feng Wu spat out a mouthful of blood. Just then, the golden bead, which Feng Wu had received from the sacred Imperial spider, blocked the attack for her. That was why Feng Wu was still alive. Otherwise, she would have long turned into a pile of pulp. Feng Wu patted her chest with lingering fear and heaved a sigh of relief. She felt like she had just survived a disaster, and her heart gradually calmed down. In fact, Sakiya's shockwave wasn't directed at her. It was directed at the swordsman who had tried to assassinate Sakiya. Feng Wu tried to move, only to find that the air around her seemed to have frozen. In this space, the gravity was more than twice as heavy. She felt like she was pinned to the ground and couldn't move a step. To make it worse, she felt as if there was a mountain pressing down on her head. Her blood was boiling, and she was on the verge of exploding. Her breathing involuntarily became heavier. However, in order not to be discovered, Feng Wu had to restrain herself with her strong willpower as she breathed slowly. Sweat the size of soybeans rolled down her cheeks, and her back was soaked. The shockwave came from Sakiya, but the pressure came from the mysterious swordsman. Feng Wu couldn't take the battle between two spiritual overlords anymore. The only good thing was that Feng Wu was hiding in the shadow of a pillar. The moon was blocked by the clouds, so no one would notice her if they didn't pay attention. But she still could be discovered at any time. Anxious, Feng Wu took a step forward with difficulty. Her lungs hurt so much that she almost fell to the ground. Meanwhile, Sakiya was confronting the swordsman. "Lone Sword, do you have a death wish?" Sitting in his wheelchair, Sakiya stared at his opponent with cold eyes. He looked slightly pale, but his eyes were wise, firm, and calm. Feng Wu had never heard of this name before, but he was very famous in the Dongseng Kingdom. He would always strike once only. His strongest killing move was called One Strike. Once the strike was made, he would leave immediately, regardless of victory or defeat. Therefore, he was known as the Lone Sword. Right now, Lone Sword stared at Sakiya and said, "There's a price on your head." Sakiya looked at him indifferently. "No one can afford me." Shook his head. "You have a price." Sakiya said, "I'd like to ask, who's the bidder? What's the price?" Was gearing up for his strongest killing move. Therefore, he didn't answer Sakiya's question. Just then, whoosh, 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 strong and sonorous footsteps rushed over like thunder. It was the Violent Blade Guards. Sakiya had personally trained them for the Crown Prince, Night Owl. "I'm late. Sorry about this, Sakiya." The leader was the head of the Violent Blade Guards. He was over 2 meters tall, burly, and majestic. A violent power seemed to pour out of him. Chapter 3293. 3293 Earth-Shattering. 3293 Earth-Shattering. He was wearing heavy armor and a helmet, leaving only his eyes exposed. It only took one look for Feng Wu to know that the leader of the Violent Blade Guards was a cultivator who specialized in physical strength. That made sense. Since he was a Violent Blade Guard, he was naturally of that type. Seeing that a fight was about to break out, Feng Wu gripped the phoenix pen and started drawing. However, under such gravity, even her hand shook. How could she quickly draw anything? Writing a word became the most difficult thing. Feng Wu felt like she was soaking in water. The pain was so intense that she felt numb. But she couldn't stop, because she knew very well that if she didn't hide inside the inscription formation in the East Wing, she wouldn't be able to withstand Lone Sword's attack. He had yet to make a move, but she couldn't take it anymore. "Indeed, Sakiya said to Kwang Feng, the leader of the Violent Blade Guards, back off." A group of people moved in unison. The 30 Violent Blade Guards fanned out and surrounded Sakiya. "Sir, the Divine Crossbow Squad is late. Please forgive us." Feng Wu turned around and saw the archers. They were all dressed in leather armor, and their crossbows looked like bats. They were made of some steel, which Fengwu didn't recognize, but she recognized the strings. They were the tendons from the back of the flood dragon. After being soaked in glue for several years, they finally became incomparably tough enough to be made into crossbow strings. This kind of string had a special characteristic. It was tough and powerful. It gave each crossbow a long range and a strong penetrative power, and the arrow's trajectory would be extremely accurate. There were also 30 members in the Divine Crossbow Squad. With a look from Mr. Sakia, they ran behind him and spread out to the two wings. They each put a leg forward and held a divine crossbow in their hands. Once the arrows were set, the soldiers aimed them at Lone Sword. As soon as the order was given, the divine crossbows would fire at the same time. The sharp arrowheads were all aimed at Lone Sword. Feng wouldn't know what Lone Sword strike felt like. She just knew that even though the sword wasn't aimed at her, she still felt as if she was in an ice cellar. The phoenix pin moved faster. The more anxious Fengwu was, the steadier her grip became. Lone Sword stared at Mr. Sakia with cold eyes. As a swordsman, there was nothing else in his eyes but his goal. He didn't have any unnecessary expressions or words. He only cared about the sword in his hand. Just then, he finally found the best moment. One strike, Lone Sword pointed his sword at Mr. Sakia, and the blade glinted. His body seemed to turn into a sharp blade, becoming one with the sword. He charged at Mr. Sakia at lightning speed. That awe-inspiring, killing intent and the terrifying gravity felt as if a storm had enveloped the sky. The Divine Crossbow Squad and Violet Blade guards behind Mr. Sakia felt their blood churn, and they nearly lost their balance. However, they were well trained. Even though they were about to faint, they still firmly held their ground. The members of the Divine Crossbow Squad held their crossbows steady. The arrows didn't shake at all. How hard had they trained to be able to do this? Fengwu was alarmed when she saw that. The Dongsang Kingdom was indeed a terrifying enemy. When Lone Sword stabbed at Mr. Sakia also launched a counterattack. Fengwu finally broke the formation in the east wing and darted inside. Whoosh! The moment Fengwu jumped in, the energy outside exploded. The entire space shook violently. The ground trembled. At that moment, it was as if a heavenly god had unleashed their might, and the world collapsed. Chapter 3294, 3294 Golden Leg Bone 1. 3294 Golden Leg Bone 1. Luckily, Fengwu had already jumped into the formation. Ripples spread out from the inscriptions of the formation, which relieved a lot of the pressure on Fengwu. She knew very well that the battle outside would be over soon, and it wouldn't be so easy for her to do anything then. Hence, she had to be quick. It would be best if she could find the immortal spiritual fruit and the golden leg bone here. This way, her mission would be completed, and she could immediately be on her way. However, Fengwu knew she would have to be the goddess of luck for that to happen. It was pitch black in the east wing, so dark that she couldn't even see her fingers. Fengwu didn't dare light a flame. There was a commotion outside. Mr. Sakia, Lone Sword, the Violent Blade Guards, and the Divine Crossbow Squad were all there. Even the slightest movement from her would attract their attention. Fengwu could see in the dark. Although not all that clearly, she was much better than other people. Soon, she realized that there was something wrong with the candlestick. She gently turned the third candlestick. As expected, she heard a soft click, and a staircase slowly appeared. Without further ado, Fengwu hurried into the basement. Just as Bu Jingyu had said, this basement was indeed the armory. Looking around, Fengwu saw wooden shelves with inscriptions on them. She took out a random sword and glanced at it. A level 7 inscription weapon. A level 8 inscription weapon. Fengwu was tempted. An inscription weapon wasn't something she could draw casually with the Phoenix pen since it required a blueprint, engravings, coloring, and so on. The entire process was very time-consuming. Therefore, every inscription sword was a treasure. And now, there were at least 100 of them here. All of them were more advanced than the 5 inscription swords that Feng Sun had won at the cost of his life. With 100 inscription weapons, the strength of the Junwu Empire would increase at an unprecedented rate. Feng Wu raised an eyebrow. I'm sorry, I'll take them all. She picked up all the inscription weapons on the shelves and put them in her storage bag. The storage bag that Jun Linyuan had given her was very useful. It could hold all kinds of inanimate objects. As for the storage space where her beautiful master was, Feng Wu wouldn't use it easily, for fear of blaspheming her master. Feng Wu then saw wooden boxes stacked against the walls around the shelves. Out of curiosity, Feng Wu went up to take a look. The wooden boxes were locked. They weren't iron locks, but inscription locks. Feng Wu was over the moon. A complicated black iron lock might stop her, but an inscription lock wouldn't. Carefully, Feng Wu opened the boxes. These wooden boxes were all about the same size, about half a meter tall and over 1.5 meters long. Feng Wu looked inside. She was overjoyed. What was inside? Inscription bombs. Muyan had given Feng Wu a few samples before, so Feng Wu recognized them immediately. They were inscription bombs. If Muyan hadn't given her any, Feng Wu might not have known. Feng Wu opened every wooden box. They were all filled with inscription bombs. There were 24 inscription bombs in one box. There was a total of 24 wooden boxes placed against the wall. Therefore, there was a total of 576 inscription bombs. This was a huge number. How could she leave any for her enemies? She took them all. Feng Wu was a little frustrated. There wasn't enough space in the storage bag that Jun Linyuan had given her. Chapter 3295, 3295 Golden Legbone 2. 3295 Golden Legbone 2. After putting away the 24 large wooden boxes, there was less than 10 square meters left. She had to use it sparingly. Right, the golden leg bone. Feng Wu quickly looked around. She didn't forget she had taken a huge risk to come down to the basement for the immortal spiritual fruit and the golden leg bone. She walked around, but there was no scent of the immortal spiritual fruit here, so she could forget about that. The golden leg bone. The golden leg bone. Feng Wu couldn't find it in the dark. She was about to leave when she heard a voice in her head. Are you really blind? It was Little Phoenix's voice. You're awake, Feng Wu said excitedly to Little Phoenix in her head. When Little Phoenix played the role of the powerful Master Phoenix to deceive the sacred Imperial spider, it had used too much energy and had to go back to its space to recuperate. Now it finally woke up. Little Phoenix said, if I hadn't woken up, you would have left this treasure cave empty-handed. I was so mad that I had to wake up. Feng Wu said, but I can take away a lot of inscription weapons and bombs. Little Phoenix rolled its eyes. Those things are good for you right now, but they're not treasures. Feng Wu said, I know, but I've already emptied out this place. There's nothing else. Little Phoenix rolled its eyes. Are you really blind? Feng Wu asked. What? Little Phoenix asked. Can't you see what's hanging on the wall on your left? Feng Wu said, it's a painting. No, it's not. As she got closer, Feng Wu realized that it was a piece of bone. Little Phoenix said, that's the golden leg bone you've been longing for. Feng Wu asked, it's so small. Little Phoenix said, it's not about the quantity, but the quality. Once it's refined and fused with a human bone, the power will increase by 200%. Without another word, Feng Wu stuffed the golden leg bone into her storage space. Then, she dashed out of the formation and into the night. By the time Feng Wu rushed out, the battle between Lone Sword and Mr. Sakia had already ended. Lone Sword could no longer use a sword, because his sword never touched Mr. Sakia. But Mr. Sakia broke Lone Sword's defense and punched him in the head. Lone Sword staggered to the ground and spat out blood, and he couldn't get up again. He vomited blood and said, I can't kill you today, but others will. As soon as he said that, Feng Wu jumped out of the east wing, broke the formation, and charged out of the great general's residence. Everyone was shocked. Mr. Sakia, the Violent Blade Guards, the Divine Crossbow Squad, and Lone Sword. They all subconsciously raised their heads and looked at the figure that flew past. Lone Sword seemed to have a thought. So did Mr. Sakia. Mr. Sakia wanted to capture Lone Sword. By then, Lone Sword had already used his sword energy to pierce his energy channels. Finally, he collapsed. He couldn't be any more dead. Lone Sword thought the second prince had sent someone to follow him and attack the crown prince, Night Owl. Mr. Sakia also believed someone sent by the second prince had taken the opportunity to attack the crown prince, Night Owl. Divine Crossbow Squad, fire. Violent Blade Guards, hunt that person down. As for Mr. Sakia, he quickly turned around and rushed in to see the crown prince. That you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.